Good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Happy Tuesday to you. Today is Tuesday, May 23rd. Said it yesterday. I'll say it again. I'm ready to turn the page on May. I think I said the same thing about April, that I was ready to turn the page on April.
Is there any month this year that you haven't been ready to turn the page on?
All right. I was definitely.
You hate January.
I hate January. Oh, it's my most depressive month. February's fine because it's nice and short and we're at spring training and things like that. March is fine. Spring. I like St. Patrick's Day. Baseball's coming. And then the season started and I was like, oh, well, this sucks. Let's get to May and then we're going to cruise. And now here we are in May and I'm ready for June. And I'll tell you what, June, July, August, September better be really good months here in San Diego and for the San Diego Padres. I'm Woodsy. That is Paul Reindl, our executive producer, our YouTube, Mr. Extraordinaire. On YouTube has got this thing figured out for us, and it looks great. And you guys can watch us on YouTube every day. Just search Ben and Woods, and it's been really cool. Been very, very cool. Benjamin Higgins is our friendly neighborhood sports anchor and our Secretary of Homeland Exploration. Ben is a little today. Yesterday was in a really good mood. Today, not so good. Is it the Lakers? Is it back pain? Is it combo of both? You had to cut a round short yesterday. That always sucks.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's weird. I've got this sciatic or whatever it is. It's fine. Like right now, absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I feel 100%. Yet I'll make one wrong move and then I'll be crippled. Like barely able to walk for 5 minutes, and then it clicks back in, and I'm fine. And it's very stressful not knowing when it's going to hit. And I don't know. It'll go away in a couple days, I think. But it's just for some reason I made a wrong move a couple of days ago, and I'm now suffering the consequences of it.
I believe the wrong move that you made is not taking care of it or stretching or foam rolling it or sitting
honestly,
on a ball.
I feel like stretching is what caused it, though.
No.
I did a stretch, and I did it the wrong way.
I know why you say that.
Now it started hurting. And I thought, why did I do something out of the ordinary? And I'm always afraid to break out of my normal routine, because my normal routine was good, and then I did something different, and then it started hurting.
Why did you stretch?
I was at that March for Babies, and they had a yoga instructor leading like an intensive stretch in the morning on Saturday.
Why didn't you take your phone and go, crap, I got to call?
That's what I should have done. I should have just kind of walked away.
So
but I tried to do these high leg lifts and do these really intense stretches to get warmed up, and I felt something click when I was doing that, and ever since I've had some trouble the last couple of days.
So you went in hardcore instead of just easing your way in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that was the problem. But I played golf yesterday, felt great. Played well, hit the ball well, didn't have any problems when I'm walking around. I can do physical activity. It's when I'm sitting in my car, sitting at my desk, that it locks up, and then I get up and I can't walk for a few minutes. It's weird.
So I've told this story before, but I'm not your boss. I'm not your superior. You don't work for me. It's not the Woods Show featuring Ben. I was on a show before that was that person's show. It was his name and his alone, right? And he used to tell me how to live my life, and I hated it, guys. I hated it. You need to do this, and you aren't getting rest, and I know you're not getting rest because you're blinking at me. And I said, well, people blink. You have to blink. And he said, but no. I know when you're blinking a lot, that means you haven't slept. And I said, what are you talking about? Once I'm off the air here, leave me alone. I can do what I want, right? If I want to go home and shoot smack, I can. Leave me alone as long as it doesn't affect my work. And boy, did it used to piss me off. So I'm a little hesitant to tell Ben, you need to get your ass on a foam roller, or to say, you know what? Why don't you get a little rest from time? I yelled at him on Friday. He's exhausted. He can barely walk.
You know what? Just do you.
Yeah, it's do working. You. Right?
Thanks.
Well, what's going to happen is, you can't break down on me. Because I don't want to say, I told you.
I like how I've kind of set up my life for the most part. I don't really want to change too much. It's been good. Things have been going well for me the last few years.
It's true. I'd like the good times to keep rolling.
Yeah.
And I'd like you to roll on a foam roller and get yourself right. Stretching is not the enemy. It's actually your friend. It really is. You know what else is? A nap. A nap is your friend.
Sometimes.
Well, and so like yesterday, you went out and played golf, but you only got 14 holes in, and then where did you have to go?
Right to work.
Yeah. That you can't rest you cannot rest
but
your
it's
brain.
such a great mental relaxation to go play
There's
golf.
There's nothing relaxing mentally about golf. Nothing.
Yes.
There's nothing.
For you, yes. For me, it's satisfying because I go out and I play pretty well. It's actually
imagine
enjoyable.
golf being a calming,
relaxing
That's
day.
what it's supposed to be. It's
Missing
supposed to be a hobby,
footers.
a recreation, a hobby, a way to get away from the stresses of work. For me, it actually is that way. For other people, I can understand not so much, but I had a good time.
You guys
got to see some old colleagues that I hadn't seen in many years, which was very cool. And I just didn't, I didn't have time to finish the round, but it was pretty cool.
You guys don't understand, Paulie. It was like this. So it would be like this. All right. I'm looking at you directly, and I'm in the middle of telling a story or a conversation, and I just stop and I go, Paul. Yes.
Yeah. Go on.
Well, you're blinking at me. What? Well, yeah. And then your mind starts going. So then you try to pin your eyes open, like, yeah.
Go ahead.
Dude, I slept like 7 hours last night. I'm really good.
And then Bo did what?
Like, yes. Sometimes, you know what? Like, sometimes your eyes are dry. Sometimes your contacts hurt. Sometimes, you blink a lot. It means nothing. It means nothing at all. That was and I would leave that studio, Ben, in a anxiety filled. The rest of my day, I'd be so anxious.
I think the opposite is weirder. Did you see the video of Brooks Koepka last night at the Florida Panthers Carolina Hurricanes game? It was making the rounds on social media. I know you're not on Twitter. That's where I saw it.
I saw it on Instagram.
He's cheering for the Florida Panthers, hockey fan living down there, and he's like clapping and watching the game, but doesn't blink at all. And it's like a 20-30 second clip, and the more you watch it, the weirder it starts to seem. Like, why are you not blinking?
I know
why.
Such
an intense guy.
He got a good night's sleep the night before. That's why he's not blinking. He must have slept like a baby.
I can't imagine,
he didn't blink one time.
All the media responsibilities and everything you have to do after winning the PGA Championship and flying back to Florida, that he could have had a ton of rest between Sunday night and Monday night, yet no blinking at all for Brooks Koepka.
I'd like you to maybe try some CBD cream too. I think it would help you. There's plenty of creams and lotions. And just as a reminder, CBD cream will not get you stoned. You don't rub it on I got to put it on my wrists, and I don't.
You don't smoke CBD cream.
I don't start eating Doritos and fading out in the middle of the day. It's just the extract from the plant.
I mean, am I not here? Am I not here with a smile?
You are here. I was worried.
Right, I was
worried because you're a little bit. Mud, if you do get those spasms, will you make sure that they're audible for the audience?
Sure, why not?
So that would be it's just all right. Oh man, yeah. So yesterday I made the mistake of watching a new movie that was out. Told Paulie about it this morning. I watched.
It's not a new movie.
Well,
it's a new movie, but it's not a new movie.
Yes. Then I watched the new iteration of White Men Can't.
Yeah, they did make another one of those, didn't they?
When I tell you, it's the biggest piece of dung that I've ever seen on film. I watch Steven Seagal movies, by the way, gladly. Marked for Death is 1,000 times better. Under Siege, when he's on the boat with Tommy Lee Jones, phenomenal movie.
What makes it so much worse than the original?
Oh my God. Probably Jack Harlow, who is this rapper guy. He may be the single worst actor I've ever seen on the big screen, ever in my life. He's horrendous. Now, Paulie, I was asking him about his backstory. He's from Kentucky.
I believe so, yeah.
And he's a rapper, and he has that look, the broccoli head look is what I call it. So shaved around the sides, right? And then the broccoli curly hair. It's my number one most it agitates me the most of any look. Hammer would have it from time to time, like, you just cut your hair. I can't look at you right. You make me sick to my stomach. That look immediately screams, I'm a turd. So he pops on and he's playing the Billy Hoyle role, and then another guy I'd never seen before. The other guy that I'd never seen before, he was okay. He was pretty good. They do the backstory and all that. Bro, it's the worst thing I've ever seen. But Paulie says that this guy Jack Harlow, he put out an album, and it was like he's like a TikTok rapper, and he kind of got famous. And then Paulie said he's one of those kids that the industry said, "Oh yeah, we're
gonna prop you up.
We're gonna prop you up. We're gonna give you
everything."
He was with Jay-Z and like all these people. He sucks. He's the worst actor I've ever seen. And I'm watching this movie, and it was to a point where I go, I have to keep watching. Like, I gotta see. Does this turn at all?
How much do they stick to the plot of the original?
It's the same plot, essentially, except for they're not out at the beach.
What is a quahawk?
There's no game show, as far as I know.
Really?
I made it about 1 hour, 50 minutes or so, and I was like, I got to get on with my dad. I'd rather be on Twitter than watch this movie. It was horrendous. It was horrendous. So I don't understand. I know I'm old. I don't get Jack Harlow. I don't understand it, though. I remember when talented people used to be the ones that
I haven't seen it. I remember we talked about it when it
idea first came up.
You
did it in the Rindle report, and I was like, don't do this.
Oh boy,
don't do this.
I don't know. I've never seen Jack Harlow act. I can't imagine it's very good. Then I saw the trailer, and I said, no way. And then I saw it. I think it recently came out, right?
Yeah,
it was
on
it's
Hulu.
all over Hulu.
Yep.
Everywhere I go on Hulu, it's
God, man.
click now, watch here. And I haven't brought myself to do it. I may get just obliterated high or something this weekend and have to watch it. But I'm looking right now. Yeah, they're all different names. So it's not Billy and what was Wesley Snipes' character name?
Billy. It was what the hell was his name? What was Wesley Snipes? Sydney.
Billy and Sydney. So it's Jeremy and Kamal.
It's so
Who's
bad,
the new
dude.
Rosie Perez?
His girl, Jack Harlow's girl, who's pretty attractive. But it's
Tiana Taylor, yeah.
It's bad, man. I mean, it is bad. And it's like it's not even really fair to those guys. You're not going to be able to remake or reboot one of the best movies of all time. The thing about that movie too is
what is a quail?
it challenged so much. Like part of the reason it was bad. So when you watch White Man Can't Jump, what was the knock? Well, it's in the name. White dudes cannot ball out. They cannot play basketball. There's been at the time that movie came out, how many great white basketball players had there been in history? 5? I mean, literally 5. Since then, there's been a little bit of an evolution, and they take away that kind of part of it where Jack Harlow's like, bro, white people can play basketball now. They didn't tell you that. And you're like, all right, there's the whole premise of the movie. Like, that's gone. The whole thing's out. And it's as bad as you can imagine. I mean, it's horrendous. 4.5 out of 10 on IMDb right now. I would have given it a 2.
So why did you even sit down to watch it in the first place?
There's another answer.
So that kind of 4.5.
I've got hours of time on my hands now that I'm not scrolling Twitter for 5-6 hours a day. Hannah came home yesterday. I have the trash can out by my car. I'm cleaning out my car. I'm cleaning out my baseball bag. She goes, what are you doing? I go, I don't know what to do. I folded laundry. I have all this time on my hands now. And she's like, wow, you're so productive now. I go, I know. I don't slip. I don't go, all right, you know what? I'm going to go back into the bathroom and pull up the Ben & Woods account and sniff around. The discipline that I have for avoiding Twitter, I texted you guys yesterday. I would look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club if I had the same discipline with food and diet that I do with this Twitter thing. So I have all this time on my hands. So I was resting, I was like resting my mind. And I was there, I'll throw it on, see how it is. Oh my God. I mean, you almost have to watch it to see how bad it is. He's the worst actor I've ever seen on the screen. So that is my ringing endorsement of White Men Can't Jump. And you're not going to be nobody in the world. You could have put the best actors in the world. You're not going to be able to remake that movie.
See, no, there's nothing wrong with watching a bad movie.
No, it's fun to watch bad movies,
especially if you're with other people.
Yeah.
The whole Mystery Science Theater kind of version where you can make fun. Watching it by yourself you can't really do anything about it other than kind of seethe and wish you had someone to complain to. Why are we watching this? It's horrible.
They want to know. Alan says, Hannah, please confirm. She was actually helping with the laundry and trash. Yeah, I did. Helped with the laundry, the trash, went to CVS, got my wife some stuff for her trip. I had hours to kill. So I watched some of that movie, and it's good content for the show because it was honestly terrible. What would you call that look? You know the look I'm talking about.
Broccoli head.
The broccoli head look. You've seen that guy, right?
Super short,
super shaved,
and then it's long and curly on top.
And it's
like
we've had bad look. We had bad looks in my day. We used to have the feathered hair. Remember, like the feathered loop? That was bad. And I rolled with that. I'm sure my dad thought the same thing. But we've seen mullets. This is the worst. The broccoli headed look is by far the worst. No,
I never loved a mohawk. It looked weird to me. It always looked strange.
Not for guys like you.
True.
Right.
But I have still not seen anyone who I thought it looked really good on.
There weren't many. This is, you go to any high school today and you line up all the seniors. What would you guess? 88% of them have that haircut, at least. I see them all out at the baseball field. I'm like, oh, man. It's prom season. So you're seeing all these parents post their kids' prom, and there's 50 kids. Every one of those dudes has the broccoli haircut. They look like a broccoli stalk.
Tom on the chat says, Sideshow Bob, if you ever watched The Simpsons with Kelsey Grammer's character with the big.
It's not even that. It's not even that.
But
it's
short on the side.
Short on the sides and
it poofs up.
Curly broccoli. It looks like broccoli.
You'll see it. So
it is. I was going to say Dustin May, but even his is way too long. Way too long. I'm trying to think of somebody famous that has it, but it's really, really a bad look. Movie's terrible, and that's that.
All right, it is a Jesse Tuesday here on Ben and Woods. No game yesterday, obviously, but we're going to get you ready for the Padres' next series. They open a 9-game road trip today against the Washington Nationals, first of 3, and Jesse Doherty, who's been on the program before, is going to join us at 7:35. Washington Nationals insider for the Washington Post. Give us an update on all the guys the Padres traded for Juan Soto and Josh Bell last year. They're going to face 2 of them tonight in C.J. Abrams and Mackenzie Gore, who will start the opening game of the series against Yu Darvish this afternoon. 4 o'clock first pitch here on 97.3 The Fan. And, of course, it's Tuesday, an Incorporator Tuesday. That means Jesse Agler, voice of the Padres, will be with us from Washington, D.C. at 8:35. So we got Jesse's back-to-back in 2 consecutive hours this morning.
I love a Jesse Tuesday, buddy.
If your name is Jesse, call in.
Call in. Yeah, we'll get as many as we can. Paulie, I'm sending you this haircut for you to post in the chats. People want to see it.
All right, we'll get to our Daily Diddy coming up next. Paulie's theme this week, songs about vacation, getting away, relaxation. He's already looking ahead to his time off at the end of the week. And then we'll get into it on a Tuesday. It's Ben and Woods. Glad to have you with us on San Diego's #1 sports station. Let's check traffic with Kelly Danick for the first time this morning here on 97.3 The Fan. This song has two things going for it. First of all, it fits the theme perfectly.
Yeah, it's about vacation, destination.
Second of all, it always makes me smile because I love the movie that it comes from.
Every time.
National Lampoon's Vacation. The only problem with this particular selection, I don't love this song.
Really?
I really don't. It's okay. I mean, but I would never consider it one of my favorites. It's just kind of there. It's just in a great movie. And it's, to me, a non-offensive, little peppy Lindsey Buckingham.
Well, it's like any
song.
It's like any soundtrack hit. Like you're not gonna in your car. You're not gonna listen to the Caddyshack song.
I do actually.
Oh, would you?
Yeah,
you might.
Absolutely would listen to the Caddy. I love "I'm All Right" by Kenny Loggins.
That's how I put this in that category. But I mean,
I can see how some people do.
Vacation, one of the best. One of the best ever.
Oh,
you're looking really fit. The best. It's the best.
Chevy Chase at the top of his game was the next level.
The peak of sarcasm, brilliance, just passive aggressive, everything I admire in a human being. He's got it.
The live version of Holiday Road murders me.
Really?
When I first heard it,
I never heard
it. He does this part where he bark, bark, bark.
Oh. He's a weird dude.
Bark like a dog.
That's very weird.
Bark like a dog.
It's like Bob Melvin after that Rugi Odor hit.
For sorry, I go. I'm sorry. What am I on drugs right now? What am I listening?
He is on drugs.
Oh, he's on
that
drugs.
is horrible. I wish I'd never.
Bark.
I wish I never knew that existed, Paulie. Oh my god!
I just ruined
nightmare.
Lindsey Buckingham for you.
Nightmare.
I apologize.
All right, Benny, get it out of your system.
You want me to get it out of my system now? I don't have a ton to get out of my system. Lakers got swept last night, if you weren't aware, in the Western Conference Finals. Celtics will probably go the same road today in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. It's hard to be upset. The Lakers lost to a better basketball team. The only thing that's frustrating is that they had chances to win all 4 of the games. I mean, they were ahead. They played well for big stretches, and every time Denver simply always had the answer. Jokic and Murray just kept, relentlessly charging at them, and eventually the Lakers would crumble at some point. They'd start missing some threes, some shots. Denver would go on a run, and they'd pull out the win. And they did it in all 4 games of the series, including last night when the Lakers actually looked fantastic. Lakers led by 15 at the half. They outscored them in the first quarter. They outscored them in the second quarter. They outscored them in the fourth quarter. But that one run, third quarter, 36-16 in favor of the Nuggets, carried the day as Denver won at 113-111 to complete the sweep. I mean, it's hard to imagine a scenario in which the Lakers were going to come back and win 4 games in a row to take the series and make NBA history, just to chalk them up as the 150th consecutive team to go down 3-0 that did not come back and win the series in the NBA, because it's never happened.
Were they in a position to win all 4?
Yeah, they
right?
really.
Like they had a lead in at least.
They
3
did.
or 4
I mean, not in the last second, like the game yesterday that did actually come down.
But a sizable lead
to
like
a final
in the third
shot.
quarter.
But even the game 3, which ended up being a fairly like a 10-point win, they had a 1-point lead in the fourth quarter of that game. So they had chances in all 4 of the games to win.
It's not a choke job, even if you gave up a lead, but you were the severe underdog.
Yeah, I mean, the
whole series.
They were the 7 seed going against the 1 seed, and while everyone was skeptical of the Nuggets because, well, they're the Denver Nuggets, they've never been to the NBA Finals and had never been there before now. So everyone thought, oh, this is a team Lakers, can beat. They have the experience, they have the guys who have been there before. Ultimately, the 1 seed was just a much better team than the 7 seed. It doesn't require a giant, knowledge of basketball to understand that the team that played well all season long was better than the one that was 2-10 at one point and had to fight their way actually into the play-in tournament just to get in. And yeah, they got hot. They won a couple of series, but Denver is the better team. And Denver, if they play well, I think will be the NBA champions at the end of the NBA Finals as well.
I watched the last 11 seconds when it came down.
You did? You did. You saw
the last, the inbound and LeBron and the defense. And
I'll give LeBron credit.
That was all I needed.
He had 31 in the first half.
Yeah.
Tried to put the team on his back. They led by 15.
He was barking out orders, and coaching guys up, and he was all about it.
The second half, he started probably getting tired. He played all 48 minutes. He did not come out of the game yesterday. He's 38 8 years old and has played 20 years in the NBA almost, and he did not come out of the entire game, just trying to will his team to one more game. But of course, the Lakers started to get weary in the second half. The only thing that I was surprised about is when they're down 2, I didn't think he went for a 2 to try to force overtime.
Yeah.
And play more on those legs? Just throw up a 3 and hope it goes in and get you to game 5. If it, you really wanted to play 5 more minutes in that game after you had played 48, but they did some great job on defense, good help defense in there. LeBron never really got even a shot off. The ball was kind of, knocked out of his hands when he was down, and the time ran out before he really got a decent shot up at it. So it's over, and it probably deserves to be over at this point. We'll see if the Miami Heat will join the Denver Nuggets later today.
Got to feel good for Denver. Never been there. Elation. I love the joke. Joke. I always mess this one. Jokic. His brothers. Did you see his brothers? They're insane. Did you see them?
No.
The big Jokic brothers, all tatted up, like picked up the head coach. Were parading him around the court. It was really cool. Cool moment for them, and city of Denver.
Just real
really
quick, because we're not going to get back to the NBA today. Just listen to what LeBron said after the game. He was asked about Jokic. Like, dude.
And Jokic had a lot of nice things to say about LeBron, too, right after the game. He's like, we didn't stop him from anything.
Because he doesn't have the MVPs that he deserves to his resume. Like, I don't think people realize maybe how good he is. And he plays in Denver. You know what I mean? He's not on the big team or whatever. But he is so freaking good at basketball. Just listen to the praise that LeBron gave him last night.
What, if anything, did Joker prove to you during the series?
Nothing. I know how great he is. I know how great Joker is. There's certain guys in this league that play the game a certain way that I like to play the game as well. And he's one of them, where you are always off balance when you're guarding a player like that because of his ability to score, rebound, shoot. He sees plays before they happen. There's not many guys in our league like that. So you already knew you was going against a beast once the series started. And not only just about his game, everybody gets cracked up into his stats, but I don't think a lot of people talk about like this part of his game. Well, maybe it's not talked about because a lot of people don't understand it, but I do. He's special.
He's special.
Did you see the pass that LeBron made that went in?
Yes.
For a 3-pointer?
Yes, but then Jokic had like a over the his head at the end of the shot clock 3. What I think is so great about Jokic is he's talented, obviously, as are many players at that level. He's got some skills for sure, but he always seems to be making the right decisions. He's always in the right place for the rebound. He draws the double team. He finds the open man. He doesn't. He puts in the shot. He can score from inside. He can score from outside. He can do whatever he wants. And it's not, he's not doing the 360 dunks. He's never going to win a slam dunk contest with his athleticism, but he is always going to be a dangerous player on the floor. And it was very impressive. As for LeBron, that he instigated an entire offseason of speculation just with his end of season comments.
We can bring that back later.
Yeah, we can talk
do that
about
again.
that. The speculation will run rampant for a while with, what LeBron's future is. I don't think he even really totally knows. I can't imagine he's just going to walk away forever from the NBA, that was his last game. That would stun me if that was the case. Now, could it look a little different for LeBron going forward? Sure, absolutely. And he's got some thinking to do, but people will talk and talk and talk.
This is pretty nuts, you guys. Paulie got a tweet the other day from a guy asking him for something. Paulie delivered.
I got this tweet back in January.
Oh, I'm sorry. Paulie got this tweet back in January asking for something. Paulie delivered to this person. The finished product is here. This is pretty great. This story in and of itself is pretty great. And let's say that it has to do with the rightful winner of the Ben & Woods Tournament of Drops.
Is it extra sweet because it's against the Dodgers?
The rightful winner.
This actually was really cool.
This is unreal. You guys want to hear
this story. Coming up next with Ben & Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by SC Johnson Off. This is Protection. Yep, Protection, the everyday skin protection ritual that protects your skin from mosquitoes. Prevention is the best protection. Off, the #1 dermatologist recommended repellent from SC Johnson. We will obviously talk about the Padres. There was a piece in the UT this morning, actually, about the potential consequences of this slow start. That if you're a Padres fan, you got to be slightly alarmed at the phrase, trading Juan Soto, the escape plan that AJ Preller supposedly has in place if things don't work out. Like, I think it's probably one of the more difficult challenges he'd have to face. All the moves that AJ Preller has done to put together the team, undoing what he's done would be, I think, exponentially more difficult than even putting together the collection of players that he has done so far.
It's not the first time that's been mentioned. I mean, we talked about this a year ago, or not a year ago, but maybe even 2 months after Juan Soto was here. And we always said there is an escape hatch for AJ Preller, and his name is Juan Soto. And I don't know when or if you ever pull that trigger, but if you're telling me you can't get back the equivalent of Mackenzie Gore and James Wood and Harlan Susana and whoever else was in that deal, I think you're nuts. You absolutely can. And if you had to do it, and you had to say, oh, Houston, man, you guys are this close, or hey, the Florida Marlins, or whoever it is, you can reload in one phone call. You can reload.
Yeah, Juan Soto has value, still has value.
100% he does. 100%.
Juan Soto isn't the problem.
No, he's
with
not
the
problem.
Padres right now.
But what I'm saying is there has always been the escape hatch, and until he's re-signed, there always will be. If
Manny doesn't come back and start producing, if Xander Bogaerts
you're a little more locked in there.
Perform to an 11-year deal quality, at least for the first 5 or 6 years. Jake Cronenworth doesn't get going, even though his deal hasn't even kicked in yet.
Joe Musgrove doesn't get going.
These are the deals that are really kind of the chain, the ball and chain around AJ Preller's ankle. That's going to make it very difficult to change the direction of the Padres. Yes, you could trade Juan Soto, reload your farm system a bit. It doesn't solve the main issue, though, and that is you have a lot of highly paid players signed to extremely long contracts, and none of those guys at the moment are performing anywhere close to the expectation of where you thought they'd be or where they need to be for the Padres to be the kind of team that everyone thought they would be this season.
But what is everyone bitching about? Depth. I heard depth yesterday on this radio station 7,000 times. You want your depth back, you can trade Juan Soto. I don't want him to. I'd like them to re-sign him. I think that's the most fearsome foursome potentially that there's ever been in baseball. But if they say, we're panicked and we're 15 games out of it in July, Ben, which, look, on the pace they are right now, could happen. Absolutely could happen. So if you want depth,
15 games out of the division lead or 15 games out of a playoff spot? Because
what are they out of a playoff spot now? 3?
I think like 3.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it could absolutely happen by the All-Star break. 100%.
15 games out of a playoff spot by the All-Star break.
Bro, they're winning 2 out of 14 games. So yes, absolutely. 1,000% they could be 15 games out by the All-Star break. It would be, my hair would fall out. Like everyone in America would be surprised. But if you keep up the pace that they're on now, yes, absolutely. They could be 1,000% out of it. It doesn't make sense. I don't foresee it happening, but it could happen. Absolutely. So if it's depth you want, you can address your depth in 2 months.
We'll talk about this more coming up at the top of the hour, but I do want to get into this story and what exactly we found out yesterday, really.
Yesterday.
All about
this is wild.
Yeah, pretty crazy. We'll get to it right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the premier auto family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by Viejas Casino and Resort. Got a few problems here, guys. Watch out for a shovel in lanes. Eastbound 78, right before Nordall Road. Also a collision on westbound 52, just before the 125. That's been moved into the center divide. And the North 163 wins the Ladder in Lanes Award. This is right before Genesee. It's kind of in your middle lanes. Traffic is brought to you by the easiest casino to drive to. Viejas is just 25 minutes from downtown San Diego and one simple exit off the 8 freeway. No topsy-turvy, poorly lit roads needed to win big. Arrive safely at San Diego's luxury gaming destination, Viejas Casino and Resort. I'm Kelly Danica with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, so I didn't realize that Paulie had this request from earlier in the year.
January.
I had not heard about this.
Woodsy actually got it. This guy, Lorenzo, tweeted on January 26th, asking you publicly, Woods, because I don't want to creep in your DMs. You were probably bitching about your DMs that morning. But hypothetically, say if someone wanted an audio clip of Is It Extra Sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
Is it extra sweet because it's against the Dodgers?
For a hypothetical album of folk rock songs, would you know where I could obtain it?
I vaguely remember this.
And then it says tweet from an account that no longer exists. I imagine you said hit up Paul Reindl.
Hit up Paul Reindl. He's got it at his fingertips.
And actually last week some guy
I'm a big buck passer.
Tweeted at us and he was like, "Hey, thanks again for that clip." And I'm like,
what are you talking about?
No idea what the hell you're talking about, buddy. And then so this guy Lorenzo Landini,
the amazing is his name. The amazing Lorenzo Landini. He sends Paulie an email, yesterday? And it's got the liner notes, liner notes inside a CD or an album.
Yeah.
And it's thanks to my mom for always supporting me. Thanks to my beloved wife for suffering through the creation of these songs. That's what mine would say. In these liner notes, it thanks Paul Reindl in the liner notes. Paulie, you have achieved one of my fantasies. I've always wanted to be in. Thanks to our guy Woodsy for always supporting us and believing in us. And Paulie Reindl, it's in the chat. You can see it right now.
Special thank you to Paul Reindl and 97.3 The Fan in San Diego.
It's unbelievable.
Liverpool FC and Jeffrey's Grocery in New
York City. So the guy lives in New York. His name again is the amazing Lorenzo Landini. So I go, well, so what did he do? Did he write a song about Is It Extra Sweet? Because it was against the Dodgers. Paulie goes, I got to listen to it. I got to get the MP3. I got to get it figured out. So we have the finished product, right?
I do. Yeah, this is the 7th track on the album.
All right, and
Wins
listen.
Above Replacement.
Name of the song is Wins Above Replacement. We have played a lot of things on this show. When people send us, hey, what'd you give me? I want to see if Padres will play this. All right.
If I had $1 for every
Hasn't
song
always gone
that
well.
I have been sent.
Yeah, Paulie would have probably $87 if you got $1 for each one we've played on the air. This one, I went, I like it. But listen to how it starts.
Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
Categorize me, package me for consumption. I want to find the numbers on your screen. My spirit will scream.
I think it's great.
And break your machine. All right. Learning every day, but trying to without forgetting myself.
I would listen to this.
The crazy thing to me is that you never know in music, right now, I'm sure most people haven't heard of the amazing Landini, but all it takes
the amazing Lorenzo
Landini. But all it takes is, a bit of word of mouth and maybe a social media hit or two by the right person. This could end up being like a charting track, and then Adam's clip will be part of it, forever. It'll be right there.
It's already
there.
That's the cool thing about music, is that it literally lives forever.
He could end up winning the Grammy Award at the award ceremony next year. They may have Adam there as part of the celebration when he accepts his award at the end. You just don't know.
So listen to some of the lyrics here. It's a baseball. It's got a lot of baseball.
A lot of
lyrics.
baseball references.
Unforced errors, defensive run saves. Wins above replacement.
Oh yeah, it's Cold War. Whoa.
It's definitely is like early 90s kind of acoustic rock. A lot of bands in this genre. But listen, for the stuff we get, I mean, that's as good as it gets for the stuff that we get, for sure. And I love that I have no idea who this guy is. I must be a listener to the show. He lives in New York. There's no reference to him being a Padre fan or being from San Diego on his page, but really, really cool little scene that happened. Paulie, what's the name of the album?
The album, let me pull it up here. I believe it's Wins Above Replacement.
Wins Above Replacement. All right, now we got to figure out how we work some of that into one of our montages. We'll find the right line and the right.
Yeah, Wins Above Replacement. He said there's a couple other baseball-centric songs called Coach and Bench Bat.
Coach, maybe it's about Coach Quintera. Let me read the lyrics at a break, and I'll see if I make the executive decision that it's actually about Coach Quintera.
I can tell you right now.
Then we can play. Yeah.
Let's see here. Coach. It's the number one song on the album. When I got knocked out, you were the first one there. You held my hand. Look, it's not like I'm from a broken home.
Oh.
I'm just saying I wasn't going to join the army or anything like that. You didn't even play me that much, which meant you respected me enough not to lie to me. We all knew I wouldn't go pro, but this team got me through college. This team helped me to grow, or you did, Coach. Sportsmanship work.
That might be.
Sounds like about a coach from his younger days.
Yeah,
That
could, bastard. That could be about Coach John Quintera. Maybe this guy grew up here. Coach taught him the change up. You never know.
Well, I think it's really, that's really cool that he wanted to include something from our show.
Is there a song on there
his album
called "Ello"? No.
No.
All right. Well, we tried. That was great.
Is there a song about the Odyssey app?
Clear your throat. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
It's falling apart on us, Paul. The Odyssey app. No, but there is a song about Adam Klug's greatest drop of all time, and it's now it's immortal.
Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
I like that he used the voice cracking one.
I think I gave him
both options. Yeah. I like that he went with that.
Eric says a little REM-ish.
Yeah, a little REM-ish. Oh, it's really, really good.
It's not bad. I can see it as like in a cut scene in a Paul Rudd movie or something.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Tevin says, I can't believe you like this over that other Padres raps, SMDH. Yeah, you know why? It's way better. That's why. It's way better.
Which one?
That's what's in.
Yes, that one.
That one?
It's the worst rap of all time. Watch out, Goose.
Manny's gonna cruise.
So bad. Sorry, guys.
All right, quick hour in the books already. All guests on Ben & Woods appear on the premier.
Oh, my God. Again. What in the...
Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Play some Take on Woods when we come back. Chance to win a trip to Las Vegas, Nevada, and much more ahead on 97.3 The Fan. Check the scores, and our guy Steve Sugimoto came up a little bit short in his bid to qualify for the U.S. Open. Final stage in Japan yesterday, 36 holes. Shot even par for the 36-hole finals qualifier.
Damn good day.
Only 3 spots, though, were available, and to get one of those 3, had to shoot 8 under.
Oh, it's brutal.
That's a tough day.
Keep grinding, buddy. We love you.
He was grinding, though, and I wanted to congratulate him on the effort, making it that far through local qualifying.
No doubt.
And going all the way to Japan to try to make it into his first major and PGA Tour event. Came up a little bit short, but had to give our former NIL college-sponsored athlete a shout-out as he tries to make it on the professional circuit. It's always a grind. We've seen those guys, how hard they work to try to get there, and what small chances everybody has to make it big, to be the next guy like Brooks Koepka to lift a trophy. I mean, the difference between the top players and the guys who aren't even on the tour, it's just a hair. It's just a shot here or there.
No different in baseball.
Yeah, it really is.
Swing away. You broke it down yesterday, and who did we interview yesterday? Who was on? Cespedes, our boys from Cespedes Family Barbecue.
Jordan.
Yeah, we talked about it with Jordan as well. You're talking, and Sammy Lev, talking about, by all accounts, with the ERA that our pitchers have thrown up and the bullpen giving up 0 runs or whatever. Instead of the horrendous May record we have, it should have been something like 15-3 with 1 hit here and there, timely, runners on second, third, just a single. Makes it all the difference. And same thing in golf, man. And you think about the shots you give away. You think about, the chips that you blow, or the drive that you muff, whatever it may be. Same thing, man. Same thing with this baseball team. And there are nights when I watch them and I go, Friday night was an example when I watched them and I went, they look bad. They look like a bad baseball team. I haven't felt that in every loss this year, though. I haven't. I've thought to myself, oh man, if you could have gotten a knock here, this game's going to tilt in our favor because the bullpen's set up and we're ready to go and everyone's firing on all cylinders down there. I don't look at them as a bad baseball team at all. I look at them as a very, very not productive baseball team. They're not productive.
We will talk to Jesse Doherty from the Washington Post later this hour and get an update on some of the guys that the Padres traded away. Now, the Nationals are sitting there at 20-27. They're only a game behind the Padres, 2 of the worst records in the National League right now. Now, do you think that the Nationals wish they had Juan Soto back? Probably not. It's not as though C.J. Abrams is absolutely killing it. I think he's hitting 240.
They wouldn't want Juan Soto back in Washington?
Like, undo the trade. Hey, if we could undo the trade right now and send all the guys that we got from the Padres back and get Juan Soto back.
Are they keeping Juan Soto?
Would they want to do that?
They got a good trade.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
They got a good trade.
I think they like the trade that they got for Juan Soto.
I think they do too. And I don't think it's C.J. Abrams necessarily right now. I mean, he's having an okay start to the year, but he's at I think he's like an 82 WRC plus. I mean,
he's not killing it.
But
Mackenzie Gore is pitching decently.
That's kind of the guy you look at if you're the Washington Nationals and go, okay, cool. This is the guy we can build our rotation around. Which, by the way, he was thought to be that guy here for a long time. But you have to give up good stuff to get good stuff back. So that's what they did.
But now if the Padres had been sitting here and the reason why they're struggling is that they have no pitching and, where's a third, fourth, fifth starter?
Yeah, we're losing 7-6.
You'd say, oh, man, I wonder if Mackenzie Gore wouldn't have been a more valuable piece.
Right.
That's not been the problem.
We need to hit.
They need to hit more. And you picked up one of the best hitters of his generation coming up to try to solve that problem. And crazily, it hasn't solved the problem at all. But your pitching has been absolutely fine, even though you gave up a guy in Mackenzie Gore who has been very solid so far this year. There was, of course, Robert Hassel III, James Wood, Jarlin Susana. I mean, Doherty will give us an update on kind of how all those guys are going and what the Padres will be facing in this series coming up at 7:35. But, the question now will be, how long do you go before the Padres have to consider possibly trading Juan Soto to get another organization's prospect package back, similar to the one that the Padres gave up to the Washington Nationals?
Yeah, I mean, I got the update here on the guy. I mean, James Wood is the one that I think could potentially be the
I
hardest.
see he's entered like the top 10 in prospect lists, around baseball. He was very intriguing when he was here in San Diego.
Big dude, man. Abrams hitting 240 with 4 homers, 23 RBI, 676 OPS. Hasn't played spectacular defense by any stretch as well. Wood probably, like I said, could be the best players they get back in the trade. And then Robert Hassel right now is not hitting for power at all. Has a decent average down in he's hitting 297, Ben. 0 home runs in Double-A right now. So yeah, he's a guy. He's a guy right now. But Wood's hitting 267, 871 OPS, 5 bombs, 29 RBIs. He's at high A. He's at 20. He's 20 years old. So we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, as of right now, I mean, that's a really good trade. And the way that Soto's playing, I mean, 871 OPS, league leading 41 walks. It's paying off as well. But when the other guys around him aren't driving him in, kind of makes it a little bit harder to stomach.
Need a contestant for Take on Woods? You can call in right now. Our phone lines are open. Chance to battle Woods in our musical trivia challenge and qualify for a trip to Las Vegas. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Now, trading Juan Soto might not be the only consequence if the Padres continue to struggle. Keep seeing in our chat, hey, does Bob Mel make it through this road trip if the Padres keep scuffling? I think he does. I don't see Bob Melvin losing his job anytime soon. I get that struggling and underperforming teams often fire the manager, and often for no real reason at all other than to make a change.
It feels like that would be the throwing in the towel. Now, you can look as recently as last year. Philly did it. They fired their manager. Interim manager got them to the World Series. I feel like if the Padres were to spiral so much further down that they decided to part ways with Bob Melvin, that would be thrown in the towel.
I just think
we're officially sellers now.
I think it would be incredibly unfair to fire Bob Melvin and lay all of this at his feet. And I think the players know it as well. What kind of message are you sending to the players if you fire the manager knowing full well that he's not the problem? And the players all seem to like Bob Melvin.
There's many people, though. I see it more now than I ever have. There's many people that do feel like that's the right solution. He's not, quote, getting them ready to play on a daily basis. And I do like to remind people, these aren't rookies. They're veterans. He doesn't have to. He's not a rah-rah guy, nor are there many rah-rah guys in Major League Baseball with veteran teams. I think there's a place, Ben, for a rah-rah guy with a really, really young team. I bet you Mark Kotsay is a bit of a rah-rah guy with the Oakland A's. They're all young as hell. I bet you Skip Schumacher's got a little rah-rah in him for the very young Marlins. That being said, Bob Melvin's not going to walk into a room with Nelly Cruz and Matt Carpenter and Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts and go, come on, let's go. Let's get it together, guys. Like, he's probably going to say, hey, boys, let's go. Time to ramp it up. But I don't think he's in there giving any passionate, impassioned speeches.
I just think the other part of it is who are you going to put in that job? Now, the Phillies, they elevated Rob Thompson when they fired Joe Girardi last year.
It can't be one of we have about 9 managers and former managers on the staff here. Can't be one of those guys, in my opinion. Can't be one of those guys.
I agree. I mean, it can be.
It can, but it shouldn't.
Why would you think that would change anything or make a difference?
Do you think Mike Schilt is going to do things a lot different than Bob Melvin or Matt
Williams?
There's
no drastic personality changes. There's no drastic philosophical changes that you would make right now if you fired the manager. I'll go one step further. There's no reason to think the Phillies wouldn't have still won the World Series if they had kept Joe Girardi last year. Everyone always says, well, they fired the manager, they turned around. That must have been it. No, there's actually no evidence to tell you that there was no cause and effect there. Yes, they started playing better around the same time, but you talk to the Phillies, they don't say, oh yeah, we made drastic changes when the manager came in. They really just stayed the course with a different manager.
The Phillies played like butthole the last month of the season and pretty much squeaked their way into the playoffs. They played terribly.
They did
terribly. And we were watching.
And had they missed the playoffs by a game instead of making it, Rob Thompson probably would not have stayed as the manager.
Correct.
The interim tag, they would have found a new guy in this offseason, but instead they won another couple of games. They got into the playoffs and they started playing magically.
And I think more fault always is going to fall on the architect of the team. And that's what this article is talking about. Yeah, the guy that put the team together. Then again, I don't recall many bad words about the way AJ Preller put this team together. I really don't recall a lot of people up in arms. I heard a lot of it yesterday. A lot of people, well, I knew this wasn't going to work. And really, really interesting. Because I don't remember anybody, waving their flag around saying you can't get Xander Bogaerts and you can't get Juan Soto and you can't do that. Never. Not one person. Sorry. Didn't happen.
You'd be looking for a general manager who essentially doesn't have the ability to think as big and pull off the big moves that AJ Preller does. Yeah. That would be the change. You go to one of those regular GMs who always comes up second in free agent bidding, who, tries to put together a trade, but it doesn't really work out. That's what the other GMs do. Is that what you're looking for, as opposed to AJ Preller, who makes bold moves, who has tried to put together the best roster in baseball? No, it hasn't really worked. But do you see a philosophy out there that you like better than AJ Preller's? I mean, do you want to go with someone? No, we are not going to trade for anyone. We are simply going to be patient for years and build up our farm system and promote those players and hope that they turn into homegrown stars. They've got to eventually win the World Series that way.
They got a good pulse on the city, because the city doesn't want to do another. We can't do another one of these. Nobody wants to do another one of these rebuilds. And somebody brought up to me yesterday, how reminiscent is this team for you of 2015? I said, not in the slightest. A broken down Matt Kemp. Matt Kemp was broken down. Derek Norris was jackass. Will Middlebrooks was jackass. I mean, they weren't anything special at all. Justin Upton, okay, and he played okay here, right? And you flipped him and did what you did. Craig Kimbrell was fine. I mean, whatever. Like, I don't miss Craig Kimbrell. He's still out there blowing saves for the Phillies. There's nothing in 2015 that makes me look at what he's in the last couple years and go, has he missed on trades? Absolutely. All of them. Every G has missed on trades. There are guys that keep them up at night. Just he's trying something. We got to see how it pans out. I mean, if this team goes off the cliff, Ben, by July, yeah. I mean, that's when you got to start looking at, heads rolling.
We'll continue this discussion coming up. Right now, though, we got a contestant on the line. Let's play today's game of Take on Woods. All right, we got Nick on the line. Nick, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Ben. How are you doing?
I'm good. You are our contestant today, trying for the Las Vegas getaway. If you beat or tie Woods, you will qualify for a 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino and tickets to see Little River Band. They'll be performing at the International Theater at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino on August 5th. You get to pick our category. All week, our theme is things you drive your car on. Your category choices are Hit the Pavement, 5 different songs with names for types of roads in them. Watch Out for Traffic, words that describe roads like highways and such, and Street Scene, which are 5 song titles that include the word street. So those 3, Nick, Hit the Pavement, Watch Out for Traffic, or Street Scene, and yes, they're all kind of similar. Which one would you like to play?
Let's do Watch Out for Traffic.
Watch Out for Traffic. All right, today's song titles all include words that describe major roads like highways. They won't all have highway in them, but just think of major roads in the titles of the songs today. You'll have 60 seconds to get as many as you can. If you don't know an answer, say pass. We can come back to it if there's time left on the clock. Woodsy will then come back in and we'll compare scores. See how you do. Our song is our 2-second song. Paulie will play some music for you. You need to give me the title and the artist to score that point, and we'll go on from there. Nick, are you ready to play?
Yes, sir.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock, Paul. Nick, your time begins when Paul plays the music in the category Watch Out for Traffic. Here we go. Good luck, Nick. Let's take on Woods.
Pass.
No stop signs, speed limit, nobody's going to slow me down are part of the lyrics of which 1979 AC/DC hit?
Highway to Hell.
Correct. In 1985, Aretha Franklin was riding on what in her pink Cadillac?
The Interstate?
Incorrect. Which 1991 song was the biggest hit for Canadian musician Tom Cochrane?
Pass.
The Philadelphia R&B group Soul Survivors are known for which 1967 song?
Pass.
Let's go back to the 2-second song there for you.
Oh, I know that song. Oh, that's going to kill me. I know that song. Pass.
Let's go back to which 1991 song was the biggest hit, and time is up. We only got the one, Highway to Hell. Let me give you the answers. Yeah, let me give you the answers. That was Interstate Love Song by Stone Temple Pilots. Aretha Franklin was riding on the freeway of love in her pink Cadillac in 1985. Tom Cochrane is famous for Life is a Highway. He's going to drive it all night long. And Soul Survivors, that was a tough one, 1967. Although you'd know the song if you heard it. It's called Expressway to Your Heart. So those are the answers. Let's bring Woods back in. Nick, hang on the line just in case. All right, 60 seconds back on the clock. Woodsy, your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on Nick.
That is Interstate Love Song, Stone Temple Pilots.
That's correct. No stop signs, speed limit, nobody's going to slow me down are part of the lyrics of which 1979 AC/DC hit?
Highway to Hell.
Correct. In 1985, Aretha Franklin was riding on what in her pink Cadillac?
Freeway of Love.
Correct. Which 1991 song was the biggest hit for Canadian musician Tom Cochrane?
Life is a Highway.
Correct. The Philadelphia R&B group Soul Survivors are known for which 1967 song?
Love Train?
No, but very good. You got 4 out of 5, which is a 4-1 win today. The only one you didn't get there was Expressway to Your Heart in the category
Never heard of
Watch
it.
Out for Traffic. Oh, you absolutely.
Expressway to Your Heart.
Absolutely have heard that song. You don't know the title necessarily or the band. I knew that was going to be a tough
tricky one.
I promise you that you and most of the audience is very familiar with that song.
You were up there, Paulie.
Can you find that one for us, Paulie? It's a Soul Survivors, SOUL, and it's called Expressway to Your Heart. And I will bet a large amount of money that you have been very familiar with this song and have heard it throughout your entire life. But
what's the name of, or what was the name of the category?
It's
oh yeah, I like this. Oh, this song kicks ass.
It does, isn't it? It's a good
Kicks
song, right?
Ass.
The category was something about traffic on that one. Watch out for traffic.
That song rules, by the way. Crank that up a little bit, Paulucci. Oh, yes. What's the name of it?
Expressway to Your Heart. It's a good song.
It's really good. Fantastic.
Here comes the title.
Kick ass. Excellent. I had no idea. There's something new every day on this show. News you can use.
Yeah, it was all like interstate, highway, freeway, and expressway. Major roads was the.
I like that. Major roads. I was texting with Major Garrett this morning.
Oh,
we
were
were
you?
talking about major roads. I was. He's in DC, as you know, and I asked him what games he's going to, and he said he's actually going to go to the Getaway Day, which will be on Thursday
day game on Thursday,
and then he's going to the Big Apple. Both of his daughters live in New York, and so he's going to go
following him to Yankee Stadium.
Yep, he's going to watch them Saturday and Sunday. My wife's going to be there Saturday, so I'm going to connect them, and they'll get to hang and say hello. And
so cool.
Everybody is going to this game but us. So, yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
All right, Don't Do This is coming up next. I actually have
I
have a do this.
I've got another dead bird on a baseball field.
Oh,
This
no.
can't be happening.
I got a story from. Well, we lost a famous sports writer yesterday, and a really cool tribute, I thought, from one of the Major League Baseball managers yesterday. So we'll get to that coming up next with Ben Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 FM.
It's time for Don't Do This.
What were you thinking?
3 stories from the world of sports that make us all shake our heads.
Why? How many times do I have to tell you?
I'm sorry, I fudged up, guys.
You idiot. You moron.
Dumbass.
The apple sometimes does fall from the tree.
Don't do this
Do not tweet that.
with Ben and Woods
I like a Nickelback song or two.
on 97.3 The Fan.
Stay connected with us all week long with the Odyssey app. Just follow it for easy access to clips, show reminders, and more. Simply download the Odyssey app. Follow Ben and Woods to listen to us no matter where you are. Got a little short on time, went a little long on Take on Woods. So we'll just do a one-on-one, a do and a don't do this. And then Jesse Doherty is going to be with us from the Washington Post. Woods, why don't you handle don't do this today?
Well, there's some weird things going on around the game of baseball. Padres can't hit, and birds are dying on the field seemingly every day. Diamondbacks pitcher Zach Gallen accidentally killed a bird last week with a warm-up pitch. You know, the freak accident, it reminds you of what happened with Randy Johnson, killing that bird in mid-flight years and years ago. It had been ages since anything had happened. And then now, for the second time in a week, a bird has been hit and killed on a baseball field. This was Guardians' Will Brennan. Appears to kill a bird sitting on the infield grass, hits an absolute seed at the bird, hits the bird, and the bird.
Okay, so I've seen
dies.
the video. It's nothing like Randy Johnson.
No.
I had trouble actually seeing the bird, even though I watched the video like 7 times.
Right.
I'm going, where's the bird? What's going on here?
There's a still shot of the dead bird lying on the infield.
I believe that it happened. It's
Yeah.
just not. It's hard to see when you see the video.
They had to bring in a groundskeeper who brought out a shovel and shoveled up the dead bird and then carried the bird off the field.
Base hit left field. Nice piece of hitting by Will Brennan.
Yeah.
Didn't try to do too
Nice
much.
piece of something.
He took what was
bird.
there and slapped it the other way.
Get a shot right at shortstop, guys. We got a bird that may have been hit by that possibly.
Not may have
The bird
been.
does not move it.
No, he is. He's down for count.
shovel. Yeah.
Here comes
This
the
one
shovel.
actually went by what looked like some sort of deceased animal at shortstop. Maybe not an animal, that would be stretching it.
That's
not a huge stretch.
Yeah, it's not like it was a little person on the field, and he's like, "Oh,
Can't tell if that's a bird or a human.
is that a little kid?"
I mean, if it was like an insect, I don't know. You could say, I don't know if that's
This
an
would be
animal.
a giant
It's an
insect. It'd be the biggest mosquito known to
Yeah.
man. So yeah, that bird is no. Shout out to that bird's
And I really hope we can see more unity
More
and more
peace.
peace
and fewer birds dying on the
when
baseball
already
field.
things are so difficult.
So
So, shout out to his family.
Well, speaking of shout out to his family, Hall of Fame sports writer Rick Hummel
oh yeah, we could do that.
passed
again.
away over the weekend.
That's very appropriate.
Wrote for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch many years as a baseball writer.
50 years.
Yes.
Writing about the St. Louis Cardinals.
Won the Career Excellence Award from the National Baseball Hall of Fame. In 2006, he was nicknamed the Commish. Even the commissioners of baseball called him the Commish because that was his nickname, and he was around and respected for so long around the game of baseball. But I made this a do this because apparently
mega doo-doo.
apparently Rick Hummel, a bit of an old school guy, and he always would go back and forth with Ollie Marmol, the
Yes.
manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, and give him grief because Ollie Marmol didn't like wearing his full jersey. He just would wear a hoodie or a long sleeve shirt and not the actual Cardinals jersey, as was, the old school style. So Ollie Marmol, when he found out about it, decided, as a tribute to Rick Hummel, who covered the team for half a century,
pretty cool,
that he would wear his full jersey to the game last night to manage the St. Louis Cardinals against the Cincinnati Reds.
He used to bust his balls and say, "Hey, that's why they put name and number on the back. You need to wear your full jersey." And because, if I'm a manager, if I have to wear the baseball pants instead of just joggers, I'm probably doing a hoodie too. Bob Melvin, huge fan of the hoodie.
Yeah.
Massive fan of the hoodie. I probably would do the same thing. But Mr. Hummel really liked when the managers were in their jerseys.
Marmol said, once I got the phone call, informing me of his passing, it was pretty clear to me to make sure that I wore the jersey tonight. He always asked me to wear it, at least on opening day. I was super grateful of how much time he spent with me. And he didn't need to, but he always made a point to do that. So, respected man in baseball passes away.
Katie Wu, our beloved, who writes for The Athletic, covers the Cardinals. Huge fan of Mr. Hummel as well. And really, a life well lived. 77 years old. Ben, he retired last year. That's the one that's kind of freaked me out. 50 years. He got that gig when he was 27 years old, and he held it until he was 77 years old. Retires. Next year, he's gone. Kind of freaky.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we will catch up with our friend Jesse Agler from the Washington Post. See kind of 6 months later, 8 months later, wherever we are from the trade that sent Juan Soto to the Washington Nationals.
I think we talked
Washington
to Jesse back then, too.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And, see how it's working out for that team as well as the Padres get ready to open a 3-game series in D.C. tonight. That's coming up next with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. The final evaluation of the Juan Soto trade won't come probably for many years.
Many years.
But it is good to take milepost markers along the way and see how it's going. And we talked with Jesse Agler, I think at the time the trade happened last year. Now we are, several months removed, a couple of months into this season. Going to get an update as the Padres get ready to face the Washington Nationals. And we'll talk to Jesse right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto Family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Got a crash at the clearing stage on the South 5 coastline just past Tamarack. Everything now over to the right shoulder. Up ahead near Delmar Heights Road, there's a stalled car in the center divide. Also a collision on westbound King Freeway just before 30th Street. Several vehicles involved. It's got the slow lane blocked. Coach Quintero and Joe Musgrove's choice. They're a different kind of dealership looking to be a solid community partner and deliver excellent service. Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Chevrolet, find new roads. I'm Kelly Tannick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's go out to our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. A pleasure to welcome back to Ben & Woods, Washington Nationals insider for the Washington Post, Jesse Agler, back with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, Jesse.
How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. How about you?
Good.
It's kind of it's weird. Like our records are almost similar, and it's basically the end of days here in San Diego. And I have a feeling in Washington, it's like, hey, this is kind of better than we expected, and the records are almost the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot better than expected. Coming off with a 107 loss season and really not adding anyone like on too big of a contract in free agency. I mean, the biggest deal they gave out in AAB was $6.5 million for Trevor Williams, who's their fourth starter.
Yeah,
to be here,
pitching okay.
Yeah, pitching pretty well, and to be almost 500 and to have won, I believe, 5 of their last 9 series, including a split. It's much better than anyone expected. And certainly me. I mean, I predicted them to be north of 100 losses again, which is obviously could still happen, but right now they're certainly not on pace for that.
So when we talked to you last, obviously we were breaking down what will probably goes down as one of the most significant in-season trades in baseball history.
It's the biggest trade in sports history, I think.
One of them.
It's got to
sure.
be. I mean, it's huge. It's a huge trade.
And as I said before the traffic update, we won't be able to fully evaluate this trade, Jesse, for years and years. But from the Washington Nationals perspective, how have things gone since dealing Juan Soto and seeing kind of getting a feel for what they received in exchange from the San Diego Padres?
Yeah, I mean, I think like evaluating trades and who won and lost is super fun to do, like at the bar, right? Or like on the radio, right? Like, I feel like if your guys' conversations mirror bar side conversations, that's probably pretty good. It's really hard to like actually parse that out in reality, because what happened was it's like the Nationals traded a player they were potentially going to lose to free agency after 4 straight non-competitive seasons. The Padres hit the gas and gave up more than any team probably ever should for one, player plus a rental, because they wanted to sort of maximize this championship window. At the time, they thought Fernando Tatis would be part of that, and Manny Machado and the rotation they had, and the other guys they got at the deadline with Josh Hader and Brandon Drury. I mean, I totally understood to both sides. So, I think there's such a propensity here, and you're maybe giving too much oxygen to like Twitter conversations of like, Soto's OPS is 750 and Mackenzie Gore just had a great start. So like, what's that
happens?
Mean? Like,
yeah.
And it's like, I mean, look, like I'll get a lot of sort of leeway out of those conversations. I'll write that article probably every year on the anniversary of the trade. Like I'm not immune to it. Like I don't, but I do think like understanding like the context at the time. And it's like the Nationals got 5 prospects, like, and if 2 of them are major league contributors, and if one of them is all-star at some point, like, you take that 10 times out of 10. And like, if the other 3 are just like marginal major leaguers and like fringe contributors, like it's going to feel frustrating in the moment, but like also think about what you give up. The guy who probably wasn't going to sign within that 2-year window and was going to be a free agent. And as Barry Shriligar, our columnist, wrote today, I realize I'm talking a lot, but this is something I think about too much. As Barry Shriligar, our columnist, wrote today, like he could come back in free agency eventually. And then you look really good. So
you're absolutely right. And we kicked it around at the time when the trade went down. And we said, listen, obviously signability is a huge one. And I don't think you go into that kind of deal without at least some sort of, yes, I'm willing to listen, right? Yes, of course I'd listen. And he has said, he said earlier in the season, yeah, as long as they keep it private, I'll talk, right? So, so great. Like, if they can re-sign Juan Soto, fantastic. But we've also explored the possibility, Jesse, of them not re-signing Juan Soto, not being able to or not wanting to, and then being able to reload. Now, you don't know what you can get back, but you imagine it would still be pretty high because the ceiling for Juan Soto still remains very, very high. He has hit his way out of that early season slump.
Yeah. No, it's super interesting. And I think, like, perspective from Washington, which if I hadn't said it to you guys, I've maybe said on some other San Diego mediums, like, I think you obviously want to have some assurance that he'll listen and that he could be signed pre-free agency to give up 5 prospects. Some of the guys, I mean, James Wood, no joke. Robert Hassel was on his way to the majors. Mackenzie Gore could be a frontline starter. C.J. Abrams, could make his way into being an everyday shortstop. Like, I think you want to have those assurances, but at the same time, like, as you guys know, and we all know because it was reported publicly, like, he turned down 15 years and 440 before he got there. So, like, what's the starting point for a free agency extension? And, like, now what you can do, I think, and which I think Washington was on its way to doing, is you can provide an environment. You can prove that you're competitive. You can put an infrastructure around him. You can build relationships from a manager perspective, GM perspective, that when you're bidding in free agency, you're not strangers. Like, every other franchise in baseball, assuming he doesn't get traded again before he hits free agency, will be totally unknowns. And sometimes that's, like, attractive, right? Like, you're intrigued by what you don't know, and you're intrigued by change, and the grass is always greener. But you have to think that if San Diego and Washington wants to be in that sweepstakes when the time comes, like, if you treat people how they should be treated, and you are honestly trying to build a competitive roster, which we've seen San Diego obviously do, then, like, you should be right in the mix.
Yep.
So I think, like, the best thing you can do in this time is, like, sure, you should throw out some extension offers, and you should probably try and, do that at times when he might feel like he wants to just settle down and be, like, not so vulnerable, right? Like, I mean, it's a shrewd business, but, like, if AJ Preller and ownership didn't broach that conversation when he was struggling to start this year, like, that's a missed opportunity, 100%. Right? Like, that's just how this thing works. So I do think that, but I do think more than anything, you set yourself up to be in the mix if that's a player you want to have long term, and that's just how you treat people day to day.
That's a great point from Jesse Doherty of the Washington Post, who's with us right now. And just building on that, Jesse, one thing that I feel like we've observed here with Juan Soto since he's arrived, comfortability seems to be a very important thing to him. He's talked about missing his bed from Washington, D.C. and, the pitch clock and adjustments that he's making and getting comfortable. It's taken a while. And we saw him struggle when he got traded. We saw him struggle at the beginning of this season with new rules. Now got locked in the last, 3 to 4 weeks, and his numbers have skyrocketed. But is that something you observed with Juan Soto? You had more time with him than we have had, obviously.
Yeah.
Is that a defining characteristic, you would say, of Juan Soto?
Totally. I mean, I think there's 2 sides, right? It's like, on one side, you want to be somewhere where you can compete, and you want to be somewhere where you can win championships and have a roster around you that pushes you and you feel like it's competitive year in, year out. On the other side, you want to be somewhere where you're loved and where you're comfortable and, like, where you feel like the security guard outside the clubhouse really well, and they know your family, and they don't have to, like, your whole crew doesn't have to be checked at the gate because they're comfortable and their BP pass is already there every day. These things matter. Like, it's like, who wouldn't want that? If your generational baseball talent can get you anything on top of money, it's that, right? Like, it's that comfort and it's that sort of feeling of home that, like, I think a lot of athletes chase, but only really those very select few can actually get. Like, these contracts that Xander Bogart signed and Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis, like, that's what they afford you, and you earn that by being extremely talented and extremely wanted across the league. Like, you need to have leverage to get that situation. I would say the other facet with Soto is family, because there wasn't a mistake that I mentioned that over and over just now, is like he wants to be somewhere, I think, where his family enjoys too. Like, that's extremely important to him. And at risk of getting into, like, where is he going to sign in 3 years conversation, like, you don't see a ton of Latin American players sign long-term deals on the West Coast because that's far from home. And Washington and New York and Philadelphia and all these places on the East Coast are, and Miami, which, obviously are not major free agent players, but, like, they're a lot closer to where these guys are from than Seattle and LA and San Diego. So that's a factor as well. I mean, I really think it is. I don't think it's the main factor. I don't think you go to Cleveland for a much worse deal than over San Diego because you want to be closer to the DR or whatever it is. But I do think these guys really think about that. And I think you hit it on the head. Like, you clearly have only really watched Juan play locally for 6 months or whatever it may be. But I think you've really already gathered that, like, comfort is a huge thing to him. And, like, I think it's almost like it's easy to think that that's the case for every player, but I don't know if that's true. I think guys want to be comfortable, but being such a high priority on his list does stand out to me.
It really does. It's a lot to think about from Jesse Doherty from the Washington Post here on Ben and Woods this morning. So as you guys sit today, 6 games below 500, you know, there are teams, Jesse, that have made such a fun run so far early in the season. We don't know how it's going to shake out, but you look at like what the Orioles have done, which are in your neck of the woods. They're a friggin' blast to watch. They've got to be players at the deadline. I wonder for the Washington Nationals. They've got a core. They're building that core. Do you foresee, like, when July comes around, is this going to be another, all right, Meneses is gone, and, you know, if anybody wants one of the bullpen arms, are they going to continue to wheel and deal and unload?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think what we saw them weigh last year, which you could argue either way is this a valid approach, was like, what players can get us returns that are worth it, and which players can we hold on to maintain a certain level of baseball. It might not be playoff baseball, but it's just a little bit better than it would be if we hold on to them and not try and get like a coin flip, you know, quad A player or something. And that was like, the bullpen was a huge thing for that. Kyle Finnegan, Carl Edwards Jr. Last deadline, I wrote this at the time, they actually flew 2 relievers to DC along with Joey Meneses and Josh Palacios, who were the replacements for Soto and Bell. And they ended up just spending the night at a hotel and then going back to AAA because they full well thought they were going to be dealing bullpen arms and needed reinforcements. Wow. It just didn't actually, the offers they got didn't rise to the level of like pulling the trigger and being like, we're going to make our product so much worse for this game. And like, you could argue that like you just tear it all down and get whatever you can because that's more valuable than, 2 more years of control with Carl Edwards or whatever it may be. But I think like we'll see that kind of approach. It's like, you know, if you could unload Jeimer Candelario, if you could unload, Patrick Corbin potentially, who's pitching really well as of late, like, does that rise to the level of being worth it if, you know, if it is going to make your team worse day to day? And like, because I think eventually you have to start wondering about like, who's this young core you're talking about? Like, that's C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, Luis Garcia, Keibert Ruiz. Like, you don't want them to slip into a total like losing culture.
Yes.
And I think having good veterans and good players around them does matter to a point. So like, does the cost of losing those guys, is it outweighed by what the return is? I think that's the mindset you'll see. Not just 2021, tear it down, anyone can go, which has turned out to be fruitful. Like, I don't think it's quite there.
That's really insightful. I'd never really thought about that before. You're dumping veteran guys that are going to contenders, but you're bringing in a bunch of young guys, and it is hard to, as we've seen here, man, there's a lot of turnover in San Diego, and who knows? We haven't seen. We were in the NLCS last year, and that was a lot of fun, but there's no guarantees of any success this year.
I got one more Juan Soto question for you, Jesse. Sure. So watching him from afar when he was with Washington, I always felt like the defining characteristic of Juan Soto going the other way. I mean, the home run derby, the power that he had to left field in the opposite field direction. We haven't seen much of that in San Diego. It's a lot of pulling the ball, a lot of ground balls to second base. Did he go through stretches like that, or have you seen? Is he doing something differently here? Has something changed that you didn't observe when he was in Washington?
Yeah, I haven't watched a ton of games, but I've tried to keep up with the numbers. I think that I could never explain to you mechanically or fundamentally what allows him to go the other way. So it'd be hard for me to spot in his swing when he's not hitting the ball to left center field why that's happening. But I can tell you, as I'm sure you guys have heard, is that he will repeatedly say over and over that when he's at his best, when his timing's his best, when his swing's the best, when his bat's staying in the zone as long as he wants to, that's exactly where he's hitting the ball with power. So if you're not seeing that, like, it's easy to deduce, like, okay, then he's not at his best. Right? Like, he tells us that. That is a data point we have from his mouth. Like, he is saying, like, that I'm good when that happens. When it's not happening, I'm probably not good. And he hasn't consistently been doing that for about almost a year now. And because I know how hard, not even how hard he works, because he does work hard, but really how in tune he is with his swing and his body, like how like he can spot or he can feel the smallest like sort of like kink in his swing or in his load or in his hands. I know that I would guess it's not a mechanical issue, and that's just me surmising and having discussions with people in the past year. I would guess it has more to do with how he's being pitched, and I know he's seeing fewer fastballs than ever. I mean, I think eventually, like, if you're Juan Soto, like, and you're a team that pays him, like, you need to live with the fact that, like, there might be some ugly stretches, but that OPS is still going to be around 900 because he walks so much.
Yep.
And, like, that's not, like, fun necessarily to watch, but it is valuable, you know? Like, the point of the game is to gain that 90 feet and then the next 90, and he does it as well as anyone because of his walk rate. And, like, but, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. But I do think, like, it has to be more related to, like, how he's being pitched and then how he's countering that approach. So he's not necessarily, like, dealing with that in the way he should be, rather than it being like some year-long mechanical flaw that he can't find. He's not the kind of hitter, I don't think, that goes through a year-long mechanical flaw that he can't spot or he can't figure out with enough video and practice and thinking about it. I mean, he is just like a genius when it comes to baseball mechanics and knowing himself. So, but now it's a matter of like adjusting how the league is pitching you, because you have 10, 15 more years of this, and you have to figure out when you get counter punched, what's your counter punch? And I think part of maybe what you've seen is like a lack of power, a lack of sort of hitting the ball where he wants, is not quite knowing what that counter punch is.
Jesse, it was really good catching up with you
awesome.
again. Really great insight, especially there on Juan Soto. Thank you again for your time.
Of course, guys. Thank you.
That's Jesse Doherty of the Washington Post on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads.
We need like a Rackham, like from the Romy does. Like I would have racked the ass out of Jesse.
You know,
really good, man. Slayed it.
You know what that observation, what he just said, tells me is that we have yet to see Juan Soto at his best.
Correct.
We've seen him red hot. He was. I mean, last 2 to 3 weeks, pretty dang hot. I mean, but we have yet to really see Juan Soto at his best because we've never seen him going to the left center gap with power.
Not much.
The way he did with the Washington Nationals so often. Really, very rare. I mean, a couple of times, yeah, but not with any consistency at all. And maybe it is the way teams are pitching him now a little bit differently. More off speed. You're going to be more ahead of that. You're going to pull that more when it's off speed. More inside. You're going to pull more of that. They're not giving him the straight stuff on the outer half that he did so well sending the other way with the Washington Nationals.
No, I'm pulling up his spray chart right now and looking at it. Juan Soto spray charts reveal changed approach. Yeah, I mean, is the approach changed, or has the way that they pitched him and him not being able to adjust is what?
Well, maybe he is adjusting. I mean, maybe the right
maybe
thing
he's
to do
starting
is
to adjust.
To pull the ball, though. If you're getting inside off-speed pitches, you're not supposed to be hitting those to left field.
Right.
You're supposed to be pulling them with power, and that's what he's trying to do. So, interesting stuff from Jesse Doherty.
He was great.
We'll react more. He was great.
Rack him, Paul.
We're going to reset something from the start of our show every day, though, when we come back next on The Fan.
All right, we are halfway home on a Tuesday. It's May 23rd. Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Jesse Doherty from the Washington Post just knocked it out of the park. One of the better interviews we've had in a long time, and very, very informative and insightful. I love interviews like that when a guest says, "Hey, I apologize for talking a lot." No, that's what we want. We want you to.
That's why we brought
That's
you on.
why we brought you on. Nobody wants to hear us blathering. More blather from us. They want to hear
plenty
them.
of blather
yeah,
from us.
bro, this is all blather most of the time. So that's what we wanted from Jesse Doherty, and he delivered. What could we do to rack somebody? Just stealing Rome's bit, but you can't say rack him because that's what Rome does.
Right. That's just a ripoff.
Yeah, it's a complete ripoff. Well, think about it. Tier ones, you can weigh in as well. Always love your advice and your ideas.
We need a sound,
like some sort of
sound effect or a drop or something.
Well, there's a lot of things on this show. You run the risk when you're a show. We've been a show together for 5 years, and we have really grown as a show. And I don't really mean personally. I mean, the audience has grown. We've gotten bigger, and it's awesome. But you do forget sometimes. You never want to be the show that people listen to, and they go, "What the hell are they talking about?" It's so inside. They call it inside radio. Like we're talking about, "Oh, Ben, remember what you said? Remember when you closed the door?" And some guy's listening for the first time, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know what that means." So there's a drop. It occurred to me the other day.
All the time.
It happens all the time.
I listen to DA's show on my way in, and they got their inside jokes, and I go, I've heard them a lot, but I don't know where that.
You don't know what it is.
I don't. Where did that start? I don't know.
It's about 5 years ago now, 6 years ago, I got Sirius XM with my new car.
Yeah.
You got like a 3-month trial, and I started listening to Howard Stern every day. And I had heard clips, I had heard stuff from the past, all his antics and everything. But when I started listening to the show regularly, like every morning driving into work, I'm like, he's got 20 people on his show.
Yeah.
Everything's an inside joke. It took months of regularly listening to be like, oh, okay, now I'm starting to
now it's a throwback.
Dan Lebitard and Stu
Lebitard is the worst.
Style.
They're the worst. They're the ones you listen to once, and I said, I don't. What in the world are they talking about? I had no idea. Aaron asks in the chat, "Is this a suggestion box now?"
No.
I mean, not really. No. Not unsolicited. I just solicited your suggestions. But what I don't like is hey, you know what? You guys should talk more about drag racing.
This would be great for ratings.
Yeah, this would be great.
That's my favorite.
That's my favorite. This will be great for ratings. I always say to those people, explain to me how ratings work. And then they can't, and they're like, then you don't know. You don't know what you're talking about. But one of the things that helps ratings is when you grow your audience. And we've done that. And I'm very proud of that. I like to continue to grow it. I want every person in the city to listen to us. That would be amazing.
But we want that increased audience to also feel like they're as much of a member of the Tier 1 family as people who have been with us from the very beginning 5 years ago.
Well, and this always makes me laugh. But the way that we start our show every day, people may hear it and go, "What is that? Who is that? Where
the show, bitch?
Where is that from?" And
that's not someone who works with us. That's not any of us, obviously.
Well, perfect example. So this morning we're sitting in here, and our engineer JR comes up, and he's holding this big giant box. And I go get the box, and it says Ben Higgins on it. And I jingle it around a little bit, and it's making like this weird noise. I said, "Did you buy something from Nordstrom?" And Ben said, "No, it's Ben. He's never buying anything from Nordstrom ever." So he goes,
That's not fair. I do occasionally shop it. I have nothing against Nordstrom. I like Nordstrom.
You're just El Cheapo. So I said, "You want me to open it for you?" And he said, "Yes." Well, turns out it was a gift for all of us from a guy named Christopher. And it says this: "Dear Ben Woods and Paulie, big fan. Please enjoy these shoe trees, shoe cleaners, and collar stays. Keep doing solid work. You guys make my long drive from Temecula to Fashion Valley enjoyable every morning." But he signs his note with "Do the show, bitch," is how he signs it. And so I was thinking to myself, not everybody knows what that means or where it comes from. So I thought we could play the origin of "Do the show, bitch." The noise you hear is Ben's new shoe tree that he's jingling around. It doesn't fit in flip-flops, by the way. You need to put it in real shoes.
I might put it in my golf shoes.
Yeah,
those are what I really need to protect.
So this is the origin of "Do the show, bitch."
Do the show, bitch.
It was a Houston sports radio.
Yes.
3 years ago, in September.
In September.
So almost 3 years
September,
ago.
dude.
In September, dude.
That's a Will Myers
Jason Braddock
reference.
and Patrick Creighton on, I think it was 97.5, an ESPN sports station in Houston. And I'm trying to remember. This was it started on the air. They went to commercial break.
Yeah, but they kept
and their
running.
Producer kept everything rolling.
Tape was
and
rolling.
this audio got leaked, and it's one of the greatest fights of all time.
You guys think you have a clue of where you're going to trade him, who might be in the market, where you might be able to get something, not just, hey, let me throw this against the wall, see what sticks.
Okay.
I mean, you make fun of other people for doing that.
Really?
All right. You know what?
You're having a temper tantrum on air, man. Like you're like on live air right now.
You don't have to pay attention. It's cool.
That's live.
We'll just do it like you're not here, so you can do whatever it is that you want to do. And then just let me know.
Start doing the show. Shut up crying and do the show. You're live on air.
We'll come back. Okay,
dude,
Jason, now
you're
that you
live
know,
on air. Shut up and do the show.
Really?
Yes, shut up and do the show. You're live on air and you're crying.
So
do the show.
You're not doing the show.
No, you're the one telling me to leave. If you want me to leave, I'll leave. But just
God.
quit crying. You can talk about this during the break. Do the show.
So,
do it.
All right. Well, if I'm just going to do the show by myself, then yeah, why are you here?
Do the show. Just quit crying about it. Keep talk.
The
talk
Ben and
sports.
Woods
Quit
of
crying
Houston.
for 2 straight segments.
Was that supposed to be funny?
Yes, it's hilarious. Shut up crying and keeping this going on and just do the show.
I'm waiting for the punchline. It's supposed to be
oh, good God, you're a child, man. Quit being petty and do the show. The show sounds horrible right now.
You're right, it does. And you're talking about being petty when you just checked out of a show for an entire segment.
No, I started doing the research you asked me to do during the last segment. Out. No, you asked me.
I'm sitting here talking to you and you're like, huh? Well,
this is live.
Microphone
I'm not going to sit here. It's already been 2 seconds.
This is live.
They're live on the air.
And I can't help but think one of them, it's the guy, Jason. We've had him on the show.
He's awesome.
To talk about it.
I feel bad for him. The other guy's
you and him have a lot in common.
Yeah.
I can see you erupting because of the quality of the product that's going out over the air.
Crap right now.
No, you
I'm
asked
sitting
me.
here talking to you and you're like, huh? Well, you don't even have your microphone
I'm
on.
not going to sit here. It's already been 2 segments of horrible. If you want me to leave, I'll cut off the mic and I'll leave. Just do the show. It sounds horrible.
Hey, I'll do the show. You
Thank you.
Oh, you don't. We're good.
Okay.
God, dude, that's
dude, do the show. You're still crying and do the show. I've already cut off the mic.
The show. You're not paying attention. Go do what you're doing. Go have a good time.
Oh God, man.
You know, go do whatever the hell you're doing.
Man.
It doesn't matter.
Well, do the show. Quit being a bitch.
Whatever. I'm the one doing the show. You're the one checking out. Have a good day. See ya.
Go on, dude. Do the show, bitch.
Boom.
There it is. You act like a little bitch on this, dude. That's the most embarrassing radio I ever did. You act like a little bitch right there.
and you asked me for
the numbers. I started giving you the numbers. I want to yell at you because you're acting like a bitch today. When I'm on air and you're acting like a bitch.
Well, you're acting like
I don't mean this. I really don't mean this the wrong way, and I hope you don't take it the wrong way.
Oh no!
Oh, here we go. Here it comes.
But I sort of see you as both of the characters.
I could be both
in that conversation. You can be the one guy who's angry at Jason.
Yes.
For
not paying attention,
not paying attention, doing something else, because I've heard that from you.
Yeah.
But you could also be on the other side. You could be Jason, who just wants to move on and just, get over something.
Let's
get back on track. Let's get back on track and do what you think we should be doing. You could be both of those guys in that conversation.
The reason that I couldn't be, you're not that way. Yes, you fall asleep and check out from time to time, but I don't dislike you, and I don't look at you and like you're not doing it intentionally. You weren't out all night drinking, and you're like lazy about it. You're always prepared. You're always in a good mood, and so yeah, it makes my job much easier. But I could. I can see both sides. I really can. I can see both sides of the whole thing.
Well, I respect you enough that I know when you criticize me or call me out, I probably do need to evaluate something. I mean,
whatever. I'm the one doing the show.
Possible I've made a mistake. Have a good day.
See you.
Go on, Deuce. Do the show, bitch.
I love it. It's the most
whatever. Go on, Deuce. Do the show.
Deuce, do the show. It's unreal.
Have a good day. See you.
Go on, Deuce. Do the show, bitch.
They are not a show anymore.
Now, I don't get frustrated the way both of those guys.
You really don't.
You sometimes get frustrated. I don't have that part of me. I've got a seemingly endless well of patience. I don't know where it comes from.
Truly amazing, actually. Tevin says those are the two voices in Wood's mind. It's pretty close. It's about as close as it's going to get.
It's like the angel and the devil.
Yeah.
It's just the devil and the devil.
It's the devil and the devil. Jocelyn says Ben is the best at just ignoring what you say and transitioning into something else.
Right.
Yes.
You could go on that entire rant screaming at Ben, and
Yeah,
you'd just be like,
you go, what?
Anyways, up next.
I will
Rashad
always
Johnson to
continue.
the-
I will never stop doing the show.
No.
That's all I do. I can't
that's
do
so
anything
good.
but do the show. You can go on rants and tangents, which makes the show eminently better when you do.
Love it.
And I love that.
I love it.
But it doesn't stop everything down the way it did with those guys.
Aaron said this is the most December segment I've heard since December. And I told Paulie yesterday, I go, man, because I said yesterday when we opened the show, I said, I can't let this team steal my joy anymore. My happiness, my zest for life. I can't. I just can't. I love them. I want them to do well, and I'm going to be rooting hard for them. But I can no longer let a baseball team dictate my mood. I just can't. Life's too short, right? And I told Paulie, I go, I'm so normally with an off day, I would say, dude, oh God, what are we going to talk about? This is going to suck. This morning, I was like, I'm so excited to go to work. We can explore a little bit. We'll play the old clip. We'll have some fun with our audience. We'll take your calls. You guys can call in whatever you guys want to talk about. Doesn't mean my level of concern for the San Diego Padres has diminished at all. I'm still terrified at what this team's going to look like at the break. I really am. I think about it all the time. But what I can't let it do is affect my mood and affect my job and be sick to my stomach about losing a baseball game in 162
let me ask you this
game
question.
season.
The Padres won on Sunday.
Yeah.
They didn't play yesterday. So we've had a couple of days without anything significant to complain about. However, they've played poorly enough that one win, certainly.
No.
2 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins. That doesn't fix what they've done so far. If they sweep the Nationals,
they've dug themselves into a big hole, but you know who else has? We have. We've dug ourselves into a big hole.
If they sweep the Nationals and have a 4-game winning streak, doesn't make everything right in the world. If they then go and lose 2 or 3 to the Yankees and 2 or 3 to the Marlins, yeah, it'll be a winning road trip, but it just won't. We still won't feel like they've solved anything. They've dug themselves not an insurmountable hole, but one that it takes more than a good week of play to fix what we've seen so far with the San Diego Padres. So we're going to feel this way as Padres fans for at least the next month. And unless it's a really, really good month, then it could be a couple of months at least until we feel better about this team. There's just no way to fix what they've gone through in a short amount of time. We can start feeling more confident, like, oh, they've been hitting really well last week, and they've won 6 of 7 games. Still only gets into around 500. They're nowhere near where we thought they would be or where we think they could be, even if they start playing well now. So we're in the torture chamber for a while. Get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we are, right? That's a really
Every
good point.
loss is going to feel like, is this?
We're dead.
Are they going back? Are they regressing? Are they digging themselves an even deeper hole? And they will lose.
And the only thing the only thing that would change, Ben, if they ripped off 15 in a row, right? But the odds of that happening to any team are pretty slim, much less this team right now as it stands. And they dug themselves in a hole, and we've dug ourselves in a hole, and it's got Padre fans in the hole as well. I'm massively sympathetic to that, massively, but part of the reason of being off Twitter is not diving into it for 7 hours after a game ends. It's watching the game, getting pissed off, coming in, giving our opinions, but then flushing it and letting it go. And that's really the way that baseball is played. Every player on a good team, you don't get too high and you don't get too low after losses. And you have to live that way. You have to truly be, as a fan, and as a player, you have to be that goldfish that we talked about. You have to. There's no other way to do it, or you'll have a coronary if you live and die with every win or loss.
Now, could this team rattle off a giant winning streak?
Sure.
Yeah, we went through the numbers yesterday. The way they've lost games, giving up 4-3, 4-4. Your offense starts going. You certainly have the potential to reel off a ton of wins, if not a 15-game winning streak. Certainly a 13 out of 15, an 18 out of 22. They have that in them if the offense starts to produce the way that we think it was supposed to at the beginning of the season.
You don't know when it's going to click. You feel that it will. You hate to entertain the notion that you could get to the trade deadline, or you could get to the All-Star break early July and still be winning 2 games, losing 2, winning 3, losing 2. You hate to get there, but man, this is absolutely climbing a mountain. You can't sprint to the top of a mountain. You can't sprint in a marathon. You just can't. You will burn out. You are plodding along. And we as the fan base, we as the hosts here on Ben and Woods, we are also plodding along. It's pitch to pitch. It is execute every pitch, compete every at bat, and let's let the chips fall where they may. These guys need to take a very, very, very long look in the mirror and say, what do we want to be? Do we want to be the laughing stock of baseball, the biggest joke, the most underutilized $250 million in baseball history? Has there ever been a higher payroll team that finished like a really high payroll team, massively, like we are, top 3, that's finished below 500? Has that ever happened in baseball? I don't know off the top of my head.
High payroll teams have finished with losing
below 500.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head.
I don't have one either, but I promise you it's happened. It's usually because of massive injuries.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Right.
The Padres haven't had that.
Knock wood.
I mean, yes, Manny's out, but you wouldn't say the Padres have been bit by an incredible injury bug.
No. I mean,
Suarez,
as most everybody has had
at
some.
this
The
point.
Dodgers are missing their entire rotation, pretty much. They're all on the IL. Kershaw on the bereavement list. They're all out. And what do? They rally from down 4 last night, and they found a way to win. So that's where we're at.
All right. As you said, the chat, social media is not a suggestion box. However, if you have something on the show that you don't understand and want to know, let us know, because we really do need to do probably a better job of going back.
It's always fun
explaining
revisiting
things.
stuff like that.
So just let us know, and we'll start putting together a list of like, where did that come from? And we don't even think about it because it's second nature to us, but we know it's not to you. So please let us know, and we'll do more of that in the future, kind of going back and showing you where some of the origin stories of things you hear every day on Ben and Woods come from. We'll come back. Jesse Agler is going to be with us at the bottom of the hour for the Incorporator. But before that, can I pitch a bit to you in our next segment?
Live on the air?
Yes.
Oh, boy. All right.
I'm going to pitch it.
There are no bad ideas.
It.
There are no bad ideas.
But in the spirit of today's show, I'm going to take my shot when we come back with Ben and Woods after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Shoot your shot, kid.
Shoot a shot and pitch a bit for the show.
Do I appreciate when he pitches bits?
You don't like it when people outside this room do it, but I thought you wanted me to do more of this. Is that not what you're asking?
It's one of those things. It's like
you want it until you actually hear it.
I want it until I hear it,
want
and then I have to do the thing where I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, we could try that.
Let's think about it. And you also know that, and he's probably gonna forget about it in a day. We do a lot of that. We have a lot of ideas that just go by the wayside. That's
they
fine.
probably
But
should go. Some of them should go by the wayside.
You're absolutely right. But I have an open mind and an open heart.
Before I get to my pitch, Matt Scravey, he took his shot and created a podcast. Episode 3 of 12 Games in October is out now. Joe Musgrove, the center of attention of this episode, will be taken back to Game 3 of the Wild Card Series with the Mets. Here's the moment on the broadcast. Buck Showalter decided to check Joe Musgrove for illegal substances. The famous ear check,
the ear
plus
game.
analysis from Tony Gwynn Jr. Just search 12 Games in October in the Odyssey app, wherever you get your podcast. Here's a little clip of 12 Games in October, episode 3.
Buck Showalter has come out of the first base dugout, and he's going to meet with the crew chief and first base umpire Alfonso Marquez.
I like that music.
There's no
The
doubt
9
there's
Inch Nails.
some gamesmanship now, whether it's actually a real thing to be concerned about, that's another question.
Now it looks like they are going to call Bob Melvin out, and Marquez, the crew chief, is talking to Joe Musgrove, and they will do an inspection. And boy, Buck Showalter waited to play this particular card for a desperate moment.
Joe's doesn't seem bothered at all. Complying with everything that's being asked. He's got a little smirk on his face right now. Check behind his ears.
Oh, man.
I love Manny's just here shaking his head.
It was a desperate move. There's no question about it. He's going a one-hit shutout through 5 innings.
Desperate times calls for desperate measures.
I guess so. And looks like they have done whatever they're going to do.
Hang with him, Buck.
Intriguing. Episode 3 of 12 Games in October, out now on the Odyssey app.
Boy, you would have seen your old pal Woods losing his ever-loving mind screaming at the television that night. I don't know that I've been that fired up for a baseball game in a long, long time. Holy cow, that sounds awesome.
All right, so here's my pitch to you and Paul. Got an email yesterday, you probably saw it, that the Holiday Bowl is looking for a new sponsor. SDCCU is dropping out after 6 years.
I saw that.
And I sent you the flippant text. Oh, how about the Ben & Woods Holiday Bowl?
Sold.
Okay, well, obviously we don't have the money for that. There's no way we're going to convince our bosses to spend whatever it takes to actually sponsor a bowl game. However, what if, now I know all the people at the bowl game. Mark Neville runs the bowl. Rick Schloss does the PR. Known them for years. They're obviously going to be searching for a new sponsor for probably a while. It's going to probably take weeks, if not a few months, to lock in a new title sponsor. What if until then we could just be the placeholder sponsor for the Holiday Bowl?
I think you're asking the wrong person.
Well, let's go.
I'm in.
Are you in with that?
Yes,
let's go.
I'm in.
Let's go. We can even put Mark. I'll give him a call. Put him on the show, and let's ask until you come up with a new sponsor. How about we call it unofficially, officially, the Ben & Woods Holiday Bowl? And hey,
the benefit for 2 months.
Yeah,
we had a bowl.
Yeah, and we'll officially have a bowl for at least until they come up with a new sponsor. It keeps it being talked about.
We'll give them $1.
We'll mention
we
it.
Buy it for $1.
We'll officially, we can sign the contract that until you get a new sponsor, we can make this the Ben & Woods Holiday Bowl. And we'll talk about it a little bit. Hey, businesses might listen and think, hey, we might want to be interested in that, especially knowing Ben & Woods are talking about it all the time. I wanted to pitch the Ben & Woods Holiday Bowl to you and see if I can try to make that happen.
You ain't got to sell me on that one.
All right, I'm going to make some phone calls.
Do it.
And see what we can do. Jimmy Kimmel has a bowl.
He does. He does.
The Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. Why can't we have a Ben & Woods Holiday Bowl?
Do I have to go to the game now if we have it?
If we still have it, like when it gets close to the game, you probably do have to go.
All right.
You might even have to wear one of those red coats.
What's a red coat? Oh, yeah.
The red coats. Yeah, they're in charge of the bowl game.
All right. Seems like a lot of work.
Yeah.
But I'd be willing to do it.
For your own name,
my
on,
own name
game.
on a bowl game?
I'm gonna pitch that.
All
See
right,
if we
pitch
can
it.
Make it happen.
Let's
the Ben & Woods Holiday Bowl.
Dibs. You heard it here
on
we
got
the
it
Ben
already.
& Woods show first.
I don't want anyone steal. I don't want to see the Coach John Quintero Holiday Bowl,
right?
The Gwynn and Chris Holiday Bowl, anyone down the hallway, the John and Tammy holiday, we have put dibs in. I'm sending an email out right now.
All right.
To try to see if we can make that happen.
That'd be, there's been a lot of things that have happened in this career. When we had our Ben and Woods Tier 1 Pale Ale, having your show on a beer can was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. This would be pretty
cool too.
Let's get this done before
anyone else.
radio
we'll
show.
put Adam on it
Our
as well.
boss
He's
is
here.
out there lurking.
Have
right
him make
now
some
as
calls.
we
He knows
speak.
people in this town.
Hey guys,
we'll make it happen. The Ben and Woods Holiday Bowl
What
coming
about-
to a
what
Petco
about the
Park near you.
97.3
the Fan Bowl. You know that's coming. You know that's conversation.
Share the wealth, guys.
Come on.
Jesse Agler is our incorporator and the voice of the Padres. It's time for Jesse's weekly check-in with Ben and Woods. Coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's always one of the highlights of the week when we get to talk to our pal Jesse Agler. Don't you agree?
I agree 115%, which is mathematically impossible and usually annoys me when people say
give
110%. You can't give more than 100%.
You really can't. I've tried, and I don't
have it in
reality,
me. If people are giving like 97, 98%, that's really, really
you
good.
You don't want to see me at 100%. I give on the show about 86%. You don't want to see me at 100.
You know, last night on the NBA, the Lakers telecast, Jeff Van Gundy kept going, God, LeBron didn't even touch the ball on that entire sequence. They need to get him the ball more. Guy played 48 minutes, scored 41. He was exhausted. You could tell he was absolutely exhausted.
Cashed.
And I saw people making fun. Jeff Van Gundy doesn't understand that people get tired, apparently. And
38-years with 70,000
can't necessarily
games.
give 100% every second of every moment they're out on the basketball court. Baseball players can't either.
No.
You know, they will have to rest occasionally, even during games.
Yep.
Pace themselves a little bit. Well, we'll talk with Jesse and get his update. He's in Washington, D.C. right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by Hummel Casino. A couple of problems along southbound 15. One is a collision just past Deer Springs Road. A motorcycle involved in this one. It's in the center divide. Up ahead near the 56, got a hit and run crash. That's in the center divide. The Big O Tires Clear Ride south on 5 Coastline from Encinitas down to the Split. San Diego's biggest barbecue is at Hummel Casino this Saturday, May 27th, with free barbecue from noon to 4 p.m., live entertainment, and $25,000 in hot seat drawings between 2 and 6 p.m. Hummel Casino. Fun above all else. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's go out to our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline and across the country to our nation's capital, where we are joined right now by the voice of the San Diego Padres, Jesse Agler. Jesse, how's the weather in Washington, D.C.?
Oh, it's beautiful out here. We're talking East Coast, late spring, warm, green trees, everybody outside because they haven't been able to be out here for the last 6 months. It's pristine, really, really, really beautiful day.
Now, you are going to work out after this interview. You told Paulie you were waiting. What's on the agenda? We do traps today, delts, abs.
We're going to try and go full body. Full body. You know, we like to take care of everything. We'll do about a half hour cardio, half hour of other stuff.
Man.
And get in an hour a day if we can.
All right. You've inspired me. I'm going to work out today too, Jesse, because you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I swear. I really am. I'm going to.
Hold on. There's police activity.
There's a robbery going on behind Jesse Agler this morning.
Jump in, Jesse. Be a superhero.
By the way, let's see. It's the transit police. He's going by at about 45.
We're getting played by.
So he's in a hurry of some kind. I got a Van Gundy story for you. I heard you talking about that.
Yeah.
This is not on topic, but I figured, the less Padres, the better, perhaps. At
Correct.
It's so Stan Van Gundy, Jeff's brother, who once coached the Heat. He's also on television. Very funny guy. Very interesting dude. So when I was working in South Florida, I would sometimes do talk radio shows and I would do updates and all that kind of stuff when I was first getting started in the business. And Stan Van Gundy was coaching the Heat at the time. Stan Van Gundy is a gigantic baseball fan. And so Stan would call into the station as just like Stan in Miami to talk Marlins. Yeah. Nobody we all knew it was him, but like the listeners, or somebody listening, they would just think it was some guy in Miami. And he wanted to call in and talk baseball.
He's like, Cabrera needs to get it going. This is getting ridiculous.
SVG to me is such a great guy. I love him.
So cool.
He is a fascinating person. So yeah, he would call in sometimes. And the other good one we had was Vanilla Ice. Would call in because he lived up in like the West Palm area. So yeah, those were good ones.
Would he call in about to talk baseball?
To talk sports, yeah, like whatever was going on. He's a big sports fan. He listened to the station all the time.
Did he go by Rob? Did he go by Rob?
No, I think it sometimes might have been Rob, and then other times it was just like random names. But like the board ops, the guys who always answer the phone.
Yeah, they know.
They know all these guys. Like Paulie, he knows when some celebrity is calling him.
Yes, like yourself.
Yeah, he calls me actually.
Yes, he does. That's right.
So Jesse, obviously it's an important road trip for the San Diego Padres. It's still the month of May, but I think everyone realizes that at some point they have to get things going. What's kind of the mood after a win on Sunday and a flight across the country, and how things are feeling going into the first of this 3-game series against the Nats?
Yeah, I think everybody felt a lot better after Sunday, but there's also sort of that asterisk or that caveat of like, all right, we've had the one game before, and so the proof will be in the pudding. There's a good cliche. It's just, we'll see how the trip goes. I'm with you. It's a big trip, and you know me, I don't like to say that, especially in the merry month of May, but like it is. I think what we saw with the Odor hit in the first inning on Sunday afternoon, to me was like such a stress reliever. Like I felt the weight come off my shoulders. So I can only imagine, how it felt down in the dugout. And then for them to kind of just go and do what they did the rest of the way was great. Look, the Nationals are probably better than like the average person realizes. The Yankees obviously can hit a ton. I think we're going to run into Garrett Cole. It looks like there as well. Marlins also, not terrible. But it's funny because, Kansas City, Minnesota, it doesn't matter right now to me, like who the other team is. It's about looking in the mirror, not looking across the field. And, when the Padres get going, it's really not going to be an issue about who they're facing. It's going to be about, getting themselves right. And so that's what you hope is going to happen. You do hope, I think, that the weight that came off the shoulders on Sunday after that hit and after that game stays off, and that they're able to loosen up a little bit and play some good baseball and hit. That's what it's going to be. Tony, I thought put it perfectly, I think on Saturday when we were discussing it, kind of late in that loss against the Red Sox. And he's like, look, when they come out of this thing, it's going to be because they hit their way out of it. Like we can break down how great the bullpen has been and, the starter's faltering a little bit. And hey, Waka, all that is well and good. And it's important conversation and it's part of the story. But the reality is when this team gets going, it's going to be because their big bats get going in a big way. And so until that happens, we're kind of, it feels like treading water and just sort of waiting on it.
Old friend, Jesse, on the mound tonight in Mackenzie Gore. We know how that goes sometimes. Usually it happens. I feel like it usually happens against us in our own ballpark. But hey, listen, Mackenzie Gore he's had a really fantastic start. And he was one of those guys too. I remember the day that the trade went down and everyone was so happy. And then you think about the guys that are here and that have come up through the organization. He was genuinely bummed. And there were guys in that clubhouse that were bummed for him. Do you think you'll get a chance to see him, catch up with him at all? And, he's going to come out and give his very best tonight. He's a gamer. He's a competitor. He's throwing the ball really, really well.
I can already see the scowl on his face in the top of the first inning tonight. He gets the eyebrows down a little bit. And he kind of scrunches up his nose. We've seen that from Mackenzie Gore. I'm sure that will be on full display today. Yeah, I'll definitely catch him either tomorrow or before the day game. Last year when we were here in early August or whatever it was, like pretty much right after the trade deadline, he was on the injured list. But the last day leaving, I saw him in the tunnel and I caught up with him for a couple of minutes, as did a bunch of the players. He's a wonderful kid. He really is. And he's easy to root for. And obviously the stuff is pretty electric and all that. And I think he's got a very bright future in this game. That was just a huge, huge trade. We'll see CJ this week as well. Those other guys are going to come in the minors, I'm sure, at some point. And it's such an interesting thing, right? When you make a trade of that magnitude, because all across baseball, everybody was like, wow, this is the biggest, trade deadline deal in history. And we're really probably not going to have a sense of how it all shakes out for a couple of years still. I'm a big Juan Soto fan, and he's certainly showing tremendous signs of life right now. How long he's around for obviously is an open question. What kind of careers those guys go on to have is a little bit of an open question. But it's just a huge, huge deal when you start thinking about everybody involved. And like I said, I think we'll be unwinding it for years after this.
Jesse, it was written in the UT this morning that for the Padres to get where they want to get, the stars have to start performing like the well-paid players they are. Manny Machado has to get healthy and be Manny. Have to see more from Xander Bogaerts than we've gotten lately. Even Tatis and Soto, who have been not bad at all, could be better. They could be more productive. But I think it's also equally valid to say for the Padres to get where they want to get, the bottom of the lineup just has to be okay. We saw it on Sunday. The Stars didn't do much. The bottom of the lineup just did a little bit, and they won a game fairly easily. Where do you land on that debate? Is it the Stars need to do more, or it just needs to be less of a black hole at the bottom of the lineup?
I think right now, any conversation about, somebody named Odor or Carpenter or Nola or Grisham or Sullivan or Cruz is kind of wasted breath. I really do. Until the Stars get going, there's no reason to talk about those other guys. That's just kind of my way of looking at it. and obviously Manny on the IL changes the calculus a little bit for him, but you've got to get those guys going, and then you can kind of be like, all right, let's take a step back now that it's clicking where it's supposed to be clicking, and kind of assess, what else is going on. Look, don't underestimate the impact that the Stars struggling has on those guys at the bottom of the order. Those things are connected. Everything is connected. So it's very easy to, pick on somebody for, not getting it done at the bottom of the order. But like, if he's at the bottom of the order, there's a reason he's at the bottom of the order, and it's because you're not relying on him to be the guy. So like, let's get the guys going. And again, this is my opinion, my perspective. But I really don't know that there's much to dive into in the bottom 4 or 5 until the top 4 or 5 really get it going.
It's a really good point. As a former bottom of the order guy myself, I agree. Those guys above me need to do more, Jesse, because I can't do this by myself, man.
If you try to, you're going to put yourself in a terrible position. And
exactly
I'm sure
right.
Seen some of that.
That's exactly right. There's another aspect that nobody, really talks about, and they've mentioned it on the broadcast a couple of times. And listen, when things are going bad, everything is magnified, and it just magnified, and every bounce seemingly goes against you. At some point, that will turn. Balls will not carry them off the bag. Balls that are 103 miles an hour will not carry them directly back to a pitcher. They will carry them in other directions. Things will happen. You'll win a challenge. Things like that. I mean, it really the chips have felt stacked against this team. But listen, there's still time to play their way out of it. And, if we get to that point in the middle of the season, Jesse, where it's still not going well, that's going to be excruciating for all of us. And would you feel a little embarrassed? Because I would. I'll just be blatant and honest. I bought in, I think like everybody did, to this vaunted offense. And, so far, not so good.
Why would that embarrass you, though?
I don't know, because I was beating my
because
chest.
You're on Twitter too much.
Not anymore.
That's
not
all that is.
anymore.
Well, right.
Not anymore.
But then you got nothing to worry about. Because that's all that is. That's an online thing. That's not a real life thing.
That's true.
But it's so weird,
and
Jesse.
Me and Fangraphs and everybody else thought this team was going to be great. Like, it's not like you went out on some limb and you were like, you know what, I think this team's really going to hit, and you're going to be embarrassed if it doesn't happen. I mean, everybody thought this team was going to hit, and everybody should have thought
he's my
this
therapist.
team was going to hit.
Jesse's my therapist. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. You got nothing to apologize for. You got
Thank
nothing
you.
to feel ashamed about. At
Thank
least
you.
when it comes to this, I'm sure there's plenty of other things. But aside from baseball,
yeah, right.
We'll talk about that another time.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing, though. People get baseball predictions wrong all the time.
All the time.
But it's usually in the vein of, I thought this team was going to have an above average bullpen, and it's turned out to be pretty mediocre or kind of below mediocre. Or, I thought this team was going to hit a ton of home runs and just never really materialized.
Yeah.
They finished in the middle of the pack. You almost never see a baseball prediction where people say, if this is going to be the best offense in baseball, and if things break right, could be historically good.
And
instead, it's arguably the worst offense in baseball. And if things continue to break wrong, it could be historically bad. That doesn't ever happen in baseball, Jesse.
Yeah, no, I mean, you'd have to really look hard, I think, for some examples of that. But you're right. I mean, in terms of like the projected stats and the actual stats to this point, it is a Grand Canyon-like chasm. And, that's what we're all talking about. And that's what we're all trying to figure out and understand and maybe explain if it's possible. I will play the May 23rd card on that one. But you're right. I mean, it's something to be aware of. It's something to make note of. And I don't have any explanation other than the weirdness and the pain of this sport. Because, like you said, it would have been one thing had we had the expectations we have and they were middle of the pack at this point. We'd still be talking about it like, hey, what's wrong? If they were middle of the pack offensively. But they just haven't hit. And plenty of time to turn it around, plenty of time to figure it out. But it is very, very weird.
We made a commitment earlier this morning that we want to do a better job, because we have tons of new listeners, of explaining some of the things we do, including the Incorporator, which is a segment we've been doing for years now with Jesse Agler. On Tuesdays, he comes on and we give him a crazy vocabulary word that really would have no business in a baseball broadcast. And then Jesse, being a very talented and smart fellow, finds a way to work it into the Padres game that night. Always does it, like, without fail. Is usually an amazing way that he weaves it in somehow to the game. So,
like, we gave him the word fartlek one time and he worked it into a broadcast. He's brilliant.
See, now that was a Woods word.
Yeah,
you like to go with kind of funny sounding or long. I love when I can subtly get Jesse, though, with a tough word It doesn't sound that difficult, but how are you ever going to get it into a baseball broadcast? So
He did not run this one by me,
no,
Jesse,
no.
so
This
I
is
have
going to
no
be a
idea.
surprise to Woods. If Paul's got it, though, he's going to play it for you right now, Jesse.
Obelisk.
Obelisk.
Oh.
Obelus.
Obelisk.
Obelisk.
I've heard of obelisk.
No, it's not an obelisk. That's like you get a lot of those in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, there's a lot of obelisks.
This is not that. An obelisk. It's the division sign. It's the official name for a division sign.
Wow, I had no idea.
The dot, the line, the dot underneath.
Coolest sign, by the way.
Line, dot. That's
Obelisk.
That's an obelisk.
Obelisk.
First of all, I am so excited to know that there's a name for this.
Me too. Me too.
I didn't know it either.
I mean, my gosh.
Obelisk.
I'm sure there's some, like 7th grade math teacher right now shaking their head at us, but I mean, that's phenomenal. Yeah, that is such a great word. I have no idea right now how I'm going to learn it, but we'll figure it out.
Yes.
And we'll get there. And I'm just excited to have learned something today.
All right. I don't know how it's going to come up with Tony Gwynn Jr. in conversation tonight,
obelisk.
but obelisk.
I'll Venmo you for the therapy. Our normal rate will apply. Thank you, Jesse.
You got it, bud.
Jesse Agler, voice of the Padres and the Incorporator.
The GOAT.
With his regular Tuesday appearance here on Ben and Woods on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall Chevrolet Finding
I had
Roads.
an interesting take in here from, he goes by Nobody in the chat. He says, Jesse, you're wrong, and here's why. Those guys are the ones leaving all the runners in scoring position most nights because the guys 1 through 5 are getting on base. And there's something to that. There's something to that. I would love to know who the biggest culprit is. I mean, Trent last week had one game where there was at least 9 left on that I can think of. 9. So there's something to that. Juan Soto, yeah, great. We talked to Jesse Doherty earlier, and he talked about, look, man, the OPS is going to be 900. Because he does walk a ton. He's leading baseball in walks. But if nobody can drive him in, then somebody else called him, he's just a vending machine on first base. That's what he is. If nobody's knocking him in, getting on, getting over, and getting in. Getting on really hasn't been the problem. It's been getting over and getting in has been the big problem this year.
But they need the guys who are up 1st through 5th to do more than just get on.
They need to hit doubles. They need to hit bombs. They need to do what they're capable of doing. I do agree with that. But I do think Nobody makes a good point here in the chat that, Austin Nolan, guys like that, they need to be able to get those runs in from third, less than 2 outs, and just start accumulating runs a little bit.
All right, got some an update on the potential of the Ben and Woods Holiday Bowl already for you.
Already?
Yeah, got an update for you. And Paulie's got a round report. Also going to let you know how you can hang out with Paulie later this week as well.
I like that.
Do all that as we kick off our final hour coming up next on The Fan. So after I pitched our bit last hour that we should become the new, at least temporary sponsors of the Holiday Bowl, they're looking for a new sponsor.
Placeholder,
SDCCU's out.
It's a bad look to be nameless.
Yeah, you need a name, and we're going to give them a name, the Ben and Woods Holiday Bowl.
Yeah.
And then, if someone wants to come in with a multi-year deal, we're not going to sue or anything.
No,
we're
we'll
just
see if
gonna
we can match it.
graciously back out,
Right.
probably.
It's funny because you like to take holiday a lot.
I do.
We
It's
should
perfect
just call
for
it
us.
the Ben
The
Higgins
theme of the
Holiday
theme of the
Bowl.
Daily Diddy this week is holidays.
Holiday
I mean, we're all
vacations.
about holidays on this show. Why not sponsor the Holiday Bowl? So here's your update. Tomorrow morning, at some point, don't have a time locked in yet, the executive director of the Holiday Bowl, Mark Neville, is going to join us to negotiate
All right.
potential
Tomorrow.
sponsorship of the bowl with the Ben and Woods program.
Good.
I'm nervous.
I'm nervous
I don't
too.
know.
I've never done a big deal like
I
this.
don't know if I don't know how to trust you guys on negotiations.
Me?
I think Ben will shoot for the moon, and I think Woods will just cave.
Ben is like the biggest caver of all time.
I think
his
that
middle
my
name
strategy
Cave.
is we will cave to any demand that they ask
Pretty
to get our
much.
name on the bowl.
Yeah. Pretty
Other
much.
than having to pay them tons of money. We're not going to do that. But everything else is on the table for sponsorship.
Right now, it's just
They want us to
The
wear those
bowl.
red coats as
The
we do
holiday
the show
bowl.
every morning.
Yeah.
We will put on red coats
whatever they want.
to do the show to get the Ben and Woods Holiday Bowl into existence.
You think I'm a bigger caver than he is?
I think you'll just be like, you'll make an offer, they'll make a counter offer. Like, all right, fine.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I definitely, I'm not good at negotiating, but
I hate
I'm
negotiating.
I'm less of a caver than you are. Don't you think?
I don't know. The person who spends hundreds to get home and hundreds in a car wash.
Just what they tell me. I just pay
You
what
don't
they
haggle
tell me.
much.
I'm
You're
not a
not a haggler.
haggler, but
You're not a haggler. We're haggling. We're going to be haggling.
I feel like you're a caver. We'll see.
Paulie, why don't you let everybody know what you're going to be doing on Thursday and how tier ones can come hang out and eat meat, possibly with Paul
Ooh.
Reindl.
Yeah.
Meat fest.
Yeah, it's Memorial Day. Everybody's going to get the grill fired up this weekend. So I'll be down at Ralph's off El Camino Real in Encinitas.
I know that, Ralph's.
On a Thursday afternoon from 1 to 3. I think the 97.3 crew will be out there. We got Padres tickets we'll be giving away to a game in
Oh,
July.
I like that.
Against Pittsburgh. And it's the launch of Slater's 50-50 beef and bacon hot dogs.
Wow.
Oh,
we
Mama
knew about the
Cita.
burgers, the beef and bacon burgers, but now we've got beef and bacon hot dogs.
I can only hope that there are samples. I will be trying multiple.
Feels like it would be disappointing at this point if there weren't a sample or two.
I just hope I don't have to grill it. Like, as long as they're prepared for me.
Yeah.
You don't want me
Do you
to.
want to borrow my big griddle? You can roll
Yeah,
it down
you're not
there.
too
Maybe
far
you're
from
just
that.
staring at raw meat all the
It
whole
won't
time.
fit in my car, so I'll have to park at your house and just like wheel that thing down the hill down to Ralph's. But yeah, come on by Thursday, 1 to 3 p.m. Ralph's off El Camino Real. And do you know the cross street, Ben?
Encinitas Boulevard.
Encinitas Boulevard.
Baby.
I'll bring you tomorrow. I got some Ben and Wood stickers too that
Okay.
are left over. I'll bring those. You can give those away as well. There's only a few left. They were in very high demand, and now we're running way low. Luckily for us, we'll just dip into the old marketing budget and make it right.
Meanwhile,
and get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right.
All right.
maybe we offer Bo and Taylor up as potential Holiday Bowl mascots.
Deal. Take them
Can I
and
get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
those 2 little dill holes, by the way.
Can I get a Holiday Bowl? Yeah.
Those 2 little dill holes will be here on Thursday.
Oh, that's right, aren't they?
In studio.
Mama's leaving for New York early. I have to come and do the show. I don't have anybody to come get them dressed for school, take them to school, and then we're going on a little father-son.
Is this Adam
trip.
Klug daycare while we're here? Is he going to be watching them?
I mean, I'm going to put them out on the couch with an iPad and some snacks and a blanket, and they're going to have their baseball gloves. And they'll
Can both screen phones at this point?
That's
Maybe
put them to work.
Decent bit. Yeah, we can. I apologize in advance to the listeners, and I apologize in advance to you guys.
Can show them how to answer the phones out there.
It's going to be a beating.
97 through the fan. This is Bo Woods.
This is going to be.
What do you want to talk about?
This is going to be a beating. My dad doesn't want to talk about that. See you later.
No. I had a ton of fun last time Bo was in studio. We threw him up here on the board and let him hit all the drops.
Taylor is the one you need to worry about.
No. Taylor's the one you need to worry about.
Yeah, the one I need to worry about.
All right, gentlemen, we'll get started here. Saw this story from the NFL yesterday that owners approved a change that will allow the NFL to be able to flex some Thursday night football games that are on Amazon Prime. And so there was a lot of consternation about this and how it could work. Basically, the resolution is going to allow the league to flip a Sunday afternoon game into a Thursday night game.
That doesn't seem right.
And move the originally scheduled Thursday game to a Sunday afternoon game. This will happen between weeks 13 and week 17. The NFL must file the notice no later than 28 days before the game, an increase of nearly 2 weeks from the earlier proposal that did not pass.
So you're taking two better teams and telling them, you guys that are playing well now have less time to prepare.
Yeah, your Sunday 1 o'clock start
is now
just got moved to Thursday
But
night.
they're not telling them on like Sunday night, oh, instead of a week, you're playing in 3 days. They'll know, as Paul said, 28 days in advance that their game will be moved from Sunday to Thursday. So it'll be well on the radar before it actually happens. But yeah.
How do you decide?
Well, just like they flex the Sunday night game. Sometimes, they've been doing this for years where
I know
they take
flex,
a Sunday day game
flex,
and move it into the Sunday night
it's the
slot.
same day. We're talking 3 days earlier.
Right, but they're going to decide a month early. I mean, you can look at the standings and go, hey, we have a
potential.
We have a Jaguars-Falcons game that's scheduled for that week on a Thursday.
Let's move them.
But the Jaguars, we thought they'd be good this year. They're terrible. Let's move them to Sunday, and let's move what looks like it's going to be a better matchup to Thursday.
Listen.
Better primetime games for the fans.
This Thursday night crap is essentially the XFL to me. It's got to stop. It's not going to, but it's got to stop. And I understand the quality of games on Thursday night, for the most part, have been terrible. So I understand why they're doing it.
There's a couple.
I just don't think if I was a player, I would like it one single solitary bit.
One of the arguments against it, even with a month's notice, people plan going to games for, when the schedule comes out. It came out, a week ago, and people started making plans. Oh, I'm going to go to this road trip game.
Oh, yeah.
And if you
if
change the date, that's different. It's okay. Okay. Game's going to kick off 4 hours later on Sunday night instead of Sunday day. Most people can deal with that. But if you change the date by 3 days earlier, that could mess up people's plans. And that's why Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, voted against it. He told Jared Bell,
as he lives in a massive destination city.
He said, hey, if you have a Raiders-Chargers game in Las Vegas scheduled for a Thursday, and all the fans driving from Los Angeles, the Raiders fans and all three Chargers fans.
He said that?
He did. Buy their tickets and book their hotels. How in the hell do you schedule it now and say, sorry, it's now on Sunday? How in the hell do you do that?
Oh,
because remember,
read it one more time.
It's not just the Sunday games that moves to Thursday. The Thursday game also would move back to Sunday. So you're going to affect 4 teams' fan bases with each switch. Again, yes, if you have a Raiders-Chargers game in Las Vegas scheduled for a Thursday, and all of the fans driving from Los Angeles, the Raiders fans and all 3 Chargers fans buy their tickets and book their hotels, how the hell do you schedule it and now say, sorry, it's now on Sunday?
We're not going anywhere.
Can you believe? I can't believe he said that out loud. They all think it.
Yeah.
They all laugh at Dean behind his back, but to say it to a reporter and know you're going to be quoted about that.
Matthew says, imagine getting roasted by a guy with that haircut. And he did it. He absolutely did it. He roasted you. Wow.
By the way, now Tom Brady, his new co-owner,
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
reached an
Talked about
agreement
that. That's
to
official now.
buy
That's
into that
pretty-
as well. So
lucky.
I you know what? I know you're supposed to not like this because it's bad for player safety. Every Thursday game is bad for player
Correct.
safety.
That's why it sucks.
It doesn't matter whether it's
They
been
don't
flexed in
care.
a month before or not.
They don't
Every Thursday game is bad. I still don't know why they haven't simply mandated if you have a Thursday game, you have to have a bye before that.
Yes, plenty of time.
You know, start the season another week early.
Yep.
Add an extra bye so every team that plays on Thursday can have one of their 2 byes come before they have to play the Thursday game. Problem solved.
All right, we're moving on. Got an update here on a don't do this story from, I believe it was just last week. A's broadcaster Glenn Kuiper was in fact fired after his use of a
he's hard-hearted, man.
awful
He said
racial slur.
the hard R on television. We spent our day at they
were in Kansas City,
the blank league museum, but he did not. He said with the hard R. Said it on the broadcast, and it was shocking to see. And he apologized. He had some support in his corner from a couple of guys that, in my opinion, I thought
he was suspended the next day.
The next day he was suspended.
Hasn't come back, and he was officially fired yesterday.
And Dave Stewart came to his defense, as did Bob Kendrick, who runs the Negro League Museum, and said, "Listen, we know him. He spent the whole day here. I think it was an accident, and they fired him anyway." So, yeah, it was. What do you do? What do you do?
I'm curious because they did an internal investigation, and I'm curious what people said behind the scenes.
They did say that behind the scenes they were not going to get into it essentially, but they did an internal investigation. So when you hear that, you're like, all right.
Yeah,
It's
the
just a
person
pattern.
didn't go into specifics. They said, following an internal review, the decision has been made for NBC Sports California to end its relationship with Glenn Kuiper effective immediately. We thank Glenn for his dedication to Bay Area baseball over the years.
Yep. That's that.
Now,
That's about it.
Glenn Kuiper issued a counter statement saying, "I wish the Oakland A's and NBC Sports would have taken into consideration my 20-year career, my solid reputation, integrity, and character. But in this current environment, traits like integrity and character are no longer considered.
never mind.
I will always have trouble understanding how one mistake
Buddy.
in a 20-year broadcasting career is cause for termination.
You
but I know
said
something better is
the
in my
N-word
future."
on
You
a
made
broadcast.
the mistake.
You said the mistake. There's a Hitler is one. You don't reference that one, right? Everyone knows that. You don't say, you know what, some decent ideas there. And you don't do the N-word on a broadcast and then blame in the 70s where they're like, hey, what's up? And like they didn't do that. It's not this current environment, man. Oh, I'm pissed now. That's you hear stuff like that. You're like, yeah, bro, you deserve to be out of a job. Come on.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the current environment. It's
He's
never been
basically-
okay.
It's another way to say cancel culture.
Right.
He's blaming cancel culture.
Wow. I had no idea that was his comment. All right. Well, sorry, Glenn.
Don't let the door hit you on the way
Yeah,
out.
that's right.
Finally, a man was shot over the weekend in Louisville, and police report that it was because of a hot pocket.
They are tasty.
They're
fine.
They're fine.
I mean, it depends on how
you don't
You
eat
don't
hot.
eat hot pockets.
I don't. But if you put them in the air fryer instead of the microwave sleeve, the microwave sleeve never gets them
You like
crispy
hot
enough.
pockets?
I like how they call that sleeve, by the way, a crisping sleeve.
Yeah.
That thing doesn't crisp anything. Nothing. Oh, you mean the soggy, boiling hot, half frozen sleeve? Crisping sleeve, my ass. It's never crisped anything. Is it possible to crisp something in a microwave ever?
No.
Something that was frozen. Can you crisp something in a microwave?
No.
What are we, idiots? And we're like, slide it in the old
Surprised someone
crisping
hasn't
sleeve.
sued them
I
about
know.
that at some
There's
point.
nothing, you cannot crisp anything.
Crisping sleeve.
Crisp these, man. You can't
So-
crisp anything.
A
Stupid.
64-year-old man named
Oh, it's cool. It's got the silver inside.
Yeah, that's gonna really
now
help.
I got it.
You know it can't be metallic though.
Yeah, it
because
can't be
the
metallic.
microwave
Yeah,
would
but explode. It's amazing.
So, it's really just cardboard.
It's cardboard with
painted
silver cardboard. Yeah. Yeah, if we paint it silver, these morons will think that it crisps their hot pocket. I hate it
Well,
so much.
here's the thing: if you're eating hot pockets, you're probably hammered drunk.
How about this?
So-
How about the Stouffer's French bread pizza? that you flip on the silver trellis or whatever it is, like, and you lay it up there. Oh, that's different from putting it on a paper plate. Stupid. So stupid. And here we all bought in. Oh, I'm in.
Decades.
I'm all
We've
decades.
all bought into the crispy
sleeve. It's a myth, and you're all suckers, all of us.
Just a bunch of idiots.
Where is the R&D? I want to see the research.
I want to see it. Show me one that you crisped.
Please.
Show me one that you crisped for once. It's impossible. It doesn't exist. Crisping sleeve.
The old 64-year-old Clifton was arrested on Sunday after police said he shot his roommate following an argument in their neighborhood.
Oh my God, dude.
Police said that his roommate had eaten the last Hot Pocket, so he started throwing tiles at him. And then the arrest warrant says that the roommate tried to leave and run away, and Williams went back inside and got a gun.
Shot him.
And shot him in the ass. No, he was treated at a nearby hospital for non-life-threatening injuries, but the man was so pissed that he ate the last Hot Pocket. He ran inside, got a gun, and shot him in the ass.
In the butt. Wow. Crispings. Myth. Marketing genius. Give those away at Petco Park. It's crisping sleeve night, emblazoned with the Padres logo. It'll crisp all your favorite delicacies at home. I think it's physically impossible to crisp something in a microwave. I don't think you can do it.
Scientifically, I do believe it is impossible to crisp something.
Okay, take a piece of pizza out of the fridge. Throw it in the microwave.
There's tricks.
Crisp when you're done with it.
I think there's tricks, like, if you put like a cup of water in there or something.
My favorite bit is
it makes it not as soggy, maybe, but it's not crisp.
The rice, you get the leftover rice, and they're like, you can't just heat it up. You have to sprinkle water on it, rubber band a paper towel over
rice
it.
Gets a little crisp in the microwave.
It's just the worst. The less I use the microwave, I think the better in my life. You know what I only use it for, honestly, these days? And you'll laugh, to melt ice cream. What? I put it in for 15 seconds to get because
soften.
That's
soften
not
ice cream.
Not like I don't drink my ice cream. I'm not that depraved yet, but I will soften my ice cream in the microwave for 15 seconds. That's really the only time I ever use it. Man, that was good stuff, Paul. Crisping sleeve. Ben & Woods crisping sleeves in next year's Ben & Woods Open gift bags. It couldn't cost us more than $50 to get our logo on crisping sleeves.
If anything, we'll just buy a couple hundred
load of Hot Pockets
and
just put stickers on them. So good.
Gwen and Chris had an interesting question on their show yesterday. They asked if they thought Sunday's win was a turning point. Turning point. I mean, in hindsight, it could end up being a turning point.
Say the answer is a resounding no.
Really? Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk about that coming up. Ben and Woods, we'll be right back after a check of traffic here.
How many turning points have we had already this season?
The fan. None, really.
We've said it a bunch.
But what's a real
Mexico?
When's a real
turning
one?
point?
What we thought it was?
Yeah. How'd that go?
We'll be right back after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. I'll just go out and say it right away. Even if the Padres go on a winning streak, like right now, one that started on Sunday, I don't necessarily think that game in particular would qualify as a turning point to the season.
No, I mean, it was like 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position.
Exactly.
It was a Rougned Odor 3-run double, a Matt Carpenter home run.
Okay, yeah. If Matt Carpenter goes on a giant tear, puts the team on his shoulders, Rougned Odor
continues to
plays, turns into a 25 home run utility guy.
For them, yeah.
Then in that case, yeah, it was a turning point. It's when we discovered Matt Carpenter and Rougned Odor could play again. But since I don't expect that is going to happen, the way the Padres are going to turn around their season, as we talked about earlier with Jesse Agler, they're going to start getting big-time production from the top stars on their team. If that happened today, great. But that wouldn't have made Sunday's game a turning point in the season. Maybe on the calendar, loss switches to win. That's great. But I didn't feel like Sunday's game, other than being a much-needed victory, was much of a change of anything we have seen from the Padres this season.
It feels weird to say, too, because, you have the day off the next day. So we don't know. We don't know. I don't think it was. You lost the series. I mean, you got bodied night one. You hung around a little bit in game two, and then you took care of business in game three. I mean, yeah, we're grasping at straws here. Those of us on the radio, those of us in the clubhouse, Ben, are grasping at straws. How many times we complain about having to do the same show after, another futile night at the plate of 1 for 10 or 0 for 12. We've done that show 20-ish times already this season, which is staggering. You don't do that you may do 20 of those in the course of 162, not in 41 games or whatever the hell they played. It just doesn't have more than that. But you know what I'm saying? One thing I do, the thing that has to keep Bob Melvin up at night, and it's funny because we all had such a blast with it in the offseason when all the moves were made, was, man, how do you put this lineup together? What do you do? Like, how cool is that to have all of these superstars and studs to choose from? Now it goes the other way. What do you do with this lineup? There's a part of me that loves Fernando Tatis Jr. at the top because why? It gets your better players, your best players, more ABs per game. That being said, he's also a guy that can hit the ball out of the ballpark. He's also a guy that can drive in runs.
And he's almost never coming up with guys on base.
Correct, because the bottom of the order is so bad.
Hasn't been getting on a ton.
So I just I wonder what you do. And I've seen the people and heard about the people. Mud and Don referenced it. Mud said the other day, he said, I see you guys complaining about the different lineups every day. He goes, why wouldn't there be at this point? Like when you're trying to find something that works, something that sticks. I don't look at it, especially the way baseball's done now. They tinker every single day and they play matchups and everything else. I don't know if there's anything to be said for leaving. All right, man, you're my 2-hole, you're my 3-hole, you're my 4-hole, you're my 5-hole. At this level, they're looking for a little bit of a spark. It wouldn't surprise me to see him continue to tinker. I'd be tinkering like a madman if I were him, trying to find the one that works.
I mean, we've seen Bob Melvin tweak a little bit, but ultimately, you need to separate those, top guys to get some of them down near the bottom of the order so they, will have people to drive in. I don't see that ever happening, and I don't see that as an optimal strategy. Ultimately, you want to have your best players all hitting in a row. That's well established that the best way to score, because most baseball teams are not going to score most innings. You look at a line score, the number that you see most often is 0. 0 is the de facto what you'd assume most innings are going to be in baseball. So what you're trying to do is when you do score, instead of a 1 every once in a while, make it a 3 or a 3 or a 4. And to do that, you want to have your best hitters all hitting in a row, because every once in a while they'll have a nice inning where they double, triple, single home run, and now you're up 5-0 and you're feeling really, really good. Hasn't happened a lot for the Padres, but not going to help it by separating those guys and moving your better hitters deeper into the order and mixing in a Trent Grisham and an Austin Nola higher in the order, just so you don't have to see him at the bottom of the order every single day. I just think that's the reality of it.
When's the last time we won a series?
I believe they've lost 5 series in a row.
It's unreal. It's unreal.
It's a shame if they lose.
I didn't think. We said it. This team is going to be averse.
They took 2 of 3 from the Reds coming straight out of Mexico City.
Yeah,
but should have swept, but lost that extra inning game in the middle of the series. That was the first 3 days. That was the first 3 days of May. Since then, they lost 2 of 3 to the Dodgers. Should have won that one, but gave up the home run to Mookie Betts with 2 outs in the ninth and ended up losing in extra innings. Then they won the first one against Minnesota, but lost the next 2, including another extra inning game. Could have won that series. Didn't. Then they got swept by the Dodgers. All of them, low-scoring, close games that they had a chance, but didn't win any of them. Then they won the first game against Kansas City, lost 2 run games after that and lost that series. And then, of course, the Boston series that just happened with losing 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox.
Staggering. Absolutely staggering. Did not see them losing 5 series in a row. I did not have that in the crystal ball at all. I thought this was a team built to not have that happen.
No, I mean, really, they swept the Giants in Mexico City, took 2 out of 3 from Cincinnati, should have won the Dodgers series, should have won the Minnesota series. That should have been 4 series in a row won. And then you lose the series at Dodger Stadium. Would have been nice. They should have grabbed one of those games. They didn't, but hey, you're on the road against the Dodgers. That's fine. Should have obviously won that series against Kansas City. Gave away 2 games that they had no business losing. Should have swept that series. And yeah, they lost 2 out of 3 to Boston fair and square. But that would be not a great month, but that would be a fine month. You would have won 5 out of 7 series.
Yeah.
You probably would have been a game or 2 above 500. Nothing special, but nothing that we're panicking over. Had the Padres simply taken care of business in those games against Kansas City, 1 game in Minnesota, and 1 game they blew in the 9th inning against the Dodgers. Totally different look.
Totally different feel. Totally different look. You want to talk about turning points? After Kansas City made 7,000 errors, booted the ball around, terrible base running, tried to give you those games. That's a turning point for me. That was as bad as it should get for this team this year. I hope that's got to be, the end of it. The Red Sox are a good team. You ran into Chris Sale. You did. Blake Snell had a terrible clunker of an outing, but you did manage to salvage 1 win. That's a turning point. That should be the series they look at and say, that's the one that killed us. We can't have another one of those. And again, you're on the road, a couple of tough environments for sure. And listen, you got to win these series. You just have to. You have to. You're going to be dead and buried in early June if you don't.
We got 1 segment left. I'm ready to spin the topic wheel a couple of times when we come back. We'll look ahead to tonight's matchup for a second as well. What? Oh, and we got some Legion tickets to give away as well. Paulie lets me know. Good. Opportunity to win right now a pair of tickets to the SD Legion game this Sunday, May 28th, against the New York Ironworkers. I like that nickname. It's at Snapdragon Stadium. Legion are the #1 team in Major League Rugby right now. 2 home games left this season. You can get tickets at sdlegion.com or win them right now. Fast on your fingers. Second caller, 833-288-0973. Going to win the pair. 833-288-0973. And we're back with more Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan after this. Sarah Woods brought to you by Cal Hope. For free mental health help, visit calhope.org. Cal Hope can help. Access Cal Hope's free and secure mental health resources today. Call 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org.
It's funny. Matthew in the chat talking about, what's going on right now with the San Diego Padres. He says, hire an analyst, for Christ's sakes. They've got analysts. They do. Now, again, the Rays, he says the absolute lack of metrics and Moneyball the Padres have going is biting them in the ass. The Rays have 30-plus analysts. Padres have 2. I don't know that that's the case. I think there's more than 2. That being said, I was reading, I don't know what we've heard from the guys in the clubhouse as far as like what they're getting, the information that they're getting has all been positive. Everyone has said it, and they've all been with other organizations, and they said, no, this is on us. They've all been accountable. They said, this is 100% on us. It's not, they're not teaching us the wrong way to hit. They're not, teaching us to select poorly when we do our pitch selection.
Let me tell you, if baseball players thought it wasn't their fault, they would have a way of letting everybody know.
Well, it's great that you bring that up, because there was a piece yesterday in The Athletic that was so eye-opening and so brilliantly written. I will pull it up right now, but it had to do, Ben, with one Madison Bumgarner.
Woods is trying to become the first person to read every single article
it's already happened
on The Athletic that's ever been posted.
You have to get every author on speed dial.
Yes. So the job is a little more difficult without Twitter, a little bit. So I have to go to other areas. The Athletic, they do great work over at The Athletic. But so I was reading this yesterday, but I was also fascinated by this. You wonder, why the fall off? Like, did he not care? Did he not try? Was he out of shape? They do a deep dive. You know what I didn't realize? So the Diamondbacks hired Brent Strom, who is one of the best pitching coaches known to man. He was the Astros guy, probably taught all those dudes how to spin it and how to get away with spinning it in certain ways. And Brent Strom you want him on your team. And he's done a lot of great work there. He has turned Zach Gallen into an ace. He's got young kids that he's working with. They're pitching okay. Dan Herron, I did not realize, was like one of their pitching analysts. And Brent Strom's kind of old school a little bit, but he's also very analytically driven. But Dan Herron was the guy responsible for getting the message to all of the guys and saying, Ben, you're doing it this way. Do it like this. Try this. It'll work. Mad Bum flat out just said, nope, not doing it. And he said, look at my resume. Look at my baseball card, which we've heard here. Look at my baseball card. Got my rings. Like, I know how to pitch. I'm a field pitcher. I know what pitches are working for me a certain day. They said, man, if you just, they have such a detailed plan for their pitchers. He just refused to use it. So Herron came to him one day and basically was like, look, man, like you have a 7.35 ERA. Like, you have to start sticking to the plan. And Mad Bum said, no, that was the last straw. That was 2 years ago. It was the last time they spoke. They did not speak for 2 seasons. Jeez. Isn't that insane? And this thing, I mean,
the insane part is that he was still with the Diamondbacks until not that long
6
ago.
weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly.
But this article, man, if you get a chance to read it today, it is so well written and so detailed and talks about all the things. So when it comes to, it's called The Wind Up, Fresh Stadium Drama, Bumgarner's D-backs Divorce, written by Levi Weaver, old friend, and Ken Rosenthal. Very, very well done piece. That's actually just kind of a blurb on it. But there's the full deep dive on it. It is really, really good. So check that out. But it does, you think about,
I would have never really put 2 and 2 together. Like,
Zach Buchanan is the author.
I just would have thought, well, all pitchers as they get older fall off a cliff at some point. Maybe his cliff came a little sooner.
Sure.
Pitched a lot of high leverage innings in October for 3 out of 5 seasons. That's going to take its toll, and maybe it took more of its toll. But hearing this now and hearing you talk about this piece says there is definitely more to it than simply age and fatigue and wear and tear on Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah, frustration and resistance to change behind the scenes of Mad Bum struggles with the Diamondbacks by Zach Buchanan. It is such a well done piece, but it goes to show you, man. Like you have to buy in. You do.
Yeah, you wonder if there's some of that going on with
Sure.
Padres batters. Yet, what I hear from a lot of players, and we've seen in the past, is that maybe they change too much sometimes too. They're always listening. Will Myers was one of those guys. Changing, constantly trying to find what was working. That's not necessarily a good thing either. Sometimes there's something to be said for sticking with what works. And hey, this is what got me here. And I try to get away from that. I've heard stories of pitchers and players all the time who make it to the big leagues and then get a whole bunch of coaching, try to get better and find themselves getting worse and then go back to what they were doing. And it works for them as well. So you can't necessarily say that Madison Bumgarner was in the wrong. Eventually, though, if you're going to continue to hurt your team and have a 7 ERA and you're unwilling to try anything else, that's always a problem.
Well, and that's the knock on it has been a knock that I've heard from some Padre fans that the analytics need to be more prevalent. I don't know, man. I'm not in there. I don't see the kind of information that they have. All I can go by is what the veteran players like Xander Bogaerts and Nelly Cruz have said. No, we've got plenty of information here.
Look at Nelly Cruz.
Look at Nelly Cruz. He's happy with the information he's getting. The information he's getting doesn't make him swing at a 58-foot curveball in the dirt. It's not, man, you gave me the wrong information. No, that's not it. That's not it at all. So, we've seen them try to change their approach this year. That didn't work. We've seen them stick to what they're doing. That's not working. It's hitting. It's really, really hard. It's really, 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 really hard. So you hope they'll break out of the funk. You hope that they're getting everything that they need. Seemingly they are. I got to imagine, though, if this road trip doesn't go well. I mean, what happens, Ben, if they come back after, winning one game on this road trip? What happens? My hair will be more gray, that's for sure. But what happens to this team? I mean, is something drastic? Are we a week or so away from something drastic happening to this team? Didn't sound like it. Doesn't sound like it based on AJ's comments in the media to Kevin Acee. Somebody asked him straight up, are you firing another manager soon? He goes, no, I'm not. How many managers do you get as a general manager? How many do you get?
AJ's already gotten more than most.
Yep. And,
but again, Peter Seidler has expressed nothing but confidence and admiration for AJ Preller.
And the chain of patience, the patience pyramid with the San Diego Padres starts with one man. It starts with Peter.
It would also, we got to check traffic, but it would be one thing if there were a whole bunch of other people in baseball who kept going, I don't understand what AJ's doing. This makes no sense to me. But the pool of people that you would hire to replace AJ were all the people who were saying, God, Rockstar, amazing what this guy is doing. Do you want to hire someone who thinks AJ was doing a fantastic job? Because that's all that you really have that's out there. Who are you going to go out and find who said, from the beginning, I knew that AJ Preller didn't know what he was talking about.
Right.
And I'll show you what real GMing is all about. They're not out there right now. It's just a bunch of people who have been impressed by AJ Preller's moves that haven't worked out. So who are you going to find that's going to change the direction of the team?
Don't know. I do not know.
All right, we're going to check traffic. A reminder that all guests on Ben and Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Time to spin the topic wheel once or twice before we wrap it up on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto Family, here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by Humboldt Casino. Got a crash and clearing stage on southbound 15 just past Deer Springs Road in the center divide, and collision on westbound 8 before Taylor Street. That too is in the clearing stage. Tow trucks on scene, getting that over the right shoulder. San Diego's biggest barbecue is at Humboldt Casino this Saturday, May 27th, with free barbecue from noon to 4 p.m., live entertainment, and $25,000 in hot seat drawings between 2 and 6 p.m. Humboldt Casino, fun above all else. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I see it spinning.
What is the most ticklish spot on your body?
Oh my God, Paul.
Ticklish.
I try to tickle Ben every day after the show, and he doesn't really laugh.
You maybe don't know where the most ticklish spot
You're doing it wrong
on my body is.
Where is it, do you think?
Probably,
Are you
my feet?
Are you still ticklish?
Oh yeah.
Are you?
Much less than I used to be.
Me too. I feel like I have a impervious wall to tickling.
Is it just possible that just our overall sensitivity decreases as we get older?
Just try acoustic wave therapy if that happens to you.
But I would say my feet.
You guys have gotten pedicures before, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Negative.
No shame.
Never
gotten a pedicure.
I thought you had like a pedicurist at your house growing up. I thought along with your butler. You've never had a pedicure.
Never had a pedicure.
Is it because you're ticklish?
No.
I giggle. I
It's
sniggle.
damn near
in there.
impossible.
I'm like,
I go, I'm sorry.
sorry. Yeah, feet.
I'm actually ticklish, like right above and around my kneecap.
Your kneecap.
Like right above the kneecap.
Yeah.
If you were to grab me right there and just
watch this.
God,
I do this to my kids. Ready? Yeah. I got that one.
There you go.
Didn't even realize that one was
that'll get you
ticklish for sure. I've seen that at the fancy like salons. They have you put your feet in a bowl of water and the
All
little
of them.
fish.
Oh yeah,
eat
fish.
the dead skin.
Yeah,
I feel like that
skin.
would be very ticklish.
That's pretty cool. I've never been.
You've never done one of those?
I put my hand in one at SeaWorld and have the fish eat the dead skin off my hand, but I've never done on my actual feet. That'd be good. Ticklish.
People pay a lot of money for
It's
that.
a very pervy topic wheel comment. Is this the pervy topic wheel?
Do we have different
What's
topic
your favorite
wheels?
position, fellas?
What is your favorite fetish?
Hot wax, Paul. You must know.
What is your favorite pizza topping? Or let's just say
in bed.
What's your
in bed?
What's your ideal pizza look like? Maybe not just one topping.
It's like band, man. It depends on the day. I like Hawaiian pizza. I will admit it.
Love Hawaiian.
And I will
pizza.
I will eat sausage on pizza. I will eat cheese pizza. I really just, to keep it simple, a lot of times I'll just order a cheese pizza.
I like to mix it up, and I like pepperoni. Like most people like pepperoni.
I don't like pepperoni.
Do you?
No.
I've heard that.
I
about
get
you.
heartburn. I don't like goat cheese and fennel and stuff on my pizza.
You know what? I really always, if I see it on a pizza and like you can order a slice and it really like calls to me, when they put a little dollop of ricotta cheese on top of that, I like that a lot.
Does not belong. It's like cottage
like a meatball and ricotta slice.
Not a fan.
Or spinach and ricotta slice.
Don't want salad on my pizza.
I enjoy
either.
that.
Oh,
not trying to be the best at working out.
Right. Yeah. Just trying to eat a nice pizza. I feel like too many toppings weighs it down, and it overwhelms the flavor of the pizza. I like a good cheese pizza.
I will agree. I would say that the right number of toppings on a pizza is anywhere between 1 and 3.
1 and 3, and that's max.
I don't like, meat lovers delight.
I don't either. Oh, cool.
Sausage
I got cut up bologna and stuff on ham.
We would go, they don't have them in Southern California. We would go to Papa Murphy's growing up, which was a take and bake. They'd prepare the pizza, but it was still just cold dough. You would take it home and throw it in the oven for 20 minutes or whatever. And we would get this like garlic chicken pizza that had like some spinach under the cheese.
It's all right.
Grilled chicken. It was
I'll
really
eat it.
good.
I do like a barbecue chicken.
I like
pizza.
a barbecue chicken
I like
pizza,
a barbecue chicken pizza.
I do too.
With the barbecue sauce instead of the tomato sauce.
Little onion on there.
Little red
starving
onion.
Now we do this every day.
Makes you very hungry.
Now I'm hungry
at this point of the program, which
All
is
right.
also the end of the program.
Let's go to the ball game,
Whoa,
boys.
hello.
That was hot.
Hello.
If they did, then you could say they have a winning streak going. 2 in a row is a streak. 1 is not. That's it for us. Coach John Quintero Braden set to come in next. You can try to tickle me as much as you want. You did find a better spot. For executive producer Paul Reindl and Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for more hours of Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.